All right, welcome to Roleplay Cafe. I am Jason. Beside me there is Dell. Above him is David. And above me is Sam. And we are playing Dark Age of Man Campaign Session 6. Ursa is a seer. I'll let Sam tell us about that when we come around to Sam. We got David playing Faustus, the what do I want to say? Educator? No. Scholar. Correct. Kind of a scholar. Okay. And then of course Dell's playing our Ranger. Would that be what we call him?
Oh yeah, Ranger, Hunter, Trapper.
Right. All right. So 14 months have passed.
Man of the woods.
14 months have passed since the Daneslayer Saverick defeated Holdir on the battlefield, Redbeard, and turned his armies away, demanded that they leave the country in a one-on-one battle, and in defeating him, they did indeed meet the contract, and they abandoned Ungland. It is, of course, the fall of the year. The defeat of Redbeard has created an unusual peace for the last 14 months. Mort has laid low. He hasn't caused the problems he generally does. Banditry is down. It seems as though there has been some peace here due to the success of the armies. Northish rebels who were trying to incite a war were captured. The Justicar was captured. He was found guilty, and then he was sent back to his king, and he was executed. King Osbert, because of this problem, has paid gifts and has sent his emissary to Dredgetown to promise his youngest daughter be wed to Wesweld, the young lord, the 18-year-old boy. His emissary has arrived in Dredgetown, and Faustus has received a missive from Wesweld, as he has been unable to attend the classes, so to speak, at the new land holdings of his tutor, Faustus. As his father has been ill, he has been leading Dredgewold County. He has been doing his father's job at 18 and a half. And he has sent for Faustus to join him at Dredgetown so he can meet the emissary and give him counsel. And that is where we're at when this starts. I'm going to go to Saverick. And Saverick, tell me where you're at and what is happening.
Saverick is working his way east across the river. South, these last months, he's acquired undue attention, somewhat celebrity. So he's been a bit of a wraith and nomadic around these woods. I haven't really got a chance to take care of myself as I would have liked. Oftentimes I would perchance go into the city at the Gold Leaf Inn and bathe myself and have a night in, but I don't do that now. I've been not seen in town for almost a full year, as I've set something up with the guard to trade pelts or bring my pelts in for trade for a small portion of the coin that I gather, and I will meet up with them on the edge of the wood. But otherwise, I've been hunting and keeping a low profile. There has been several times whenever it's almost like some town folks have come out purposely searching for me to catch me, as it were, or get sightings of me. So my myth has somewhat grown. But right now I'm heading south along over the eastern bank, the western bank over the river.
Okay.
Heading south along the wood line, trying to make myself south again.
Okay.
Counterclockwise.
So you're headed, you're on the west bank, headed south.
Yes.
Is that correct? Okay. All right.
In the wood line, heading south, yes.
Okay. All right. Faustus, you have received this missive within the last day or so. It came with the children when they came this morning, or yesterday morning, excuse me, when the children were brought with their guard for their their tutelage. And in the evening, when they are sent home, we're left here with the missive, and it reads very simply, well written, as you so well taught, Wesweld, formal, handwriting superb, with authority, impressive. The young Wesweld has asked, first in a pleasant and formal greeting, and he has asked that you come as the North King has sent an emissary, and this emissary, he believes, is there to pressure him into accepting a marriage proposal, and he needs your counsel. So that's, in a gist, is what it says. Again, because I'm naive, I haven't written anything, so there it is.
As I read this this missive, I as is kind of my habit, I usually look at things more than once to see if there's any basically anything else that can be garnished from something, you know. I read between the lines, or try to.
Yes, and go ahead. What's your mind rating?
My mind rating is 2.
Okay. Yeah. So you don't have to make a check on this.
Okay.
When you can tell in the slight angle of his calligraphy here, right? Or what? They would have written in Latin, right? So in the slight angle in his impression being firmer in the ink, that when he begins to discuss the emissary sent, and you can see the tension in the handwriting where he's pushing harder on the paper, probably. So you know that this is not a simple request to come meet the emissary. There is tension in his handwriting, right? You can see it, the nature of his greeting for you. When he gets to the passage of why he needs you to come, the handwriting definitely tells you he is stressed.
Okay. Okay. I will take my impression of this and the missive itself with due seriousness, and urgency, and it is. I would assume that I maybe have what would you call them? I don't know if it would just be a servant or
I'm sure they're
household. You know.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's name him. Let's name him Elgin.
Elgin. Okay.
Elgin.
Okay.
Your house.
House churl.
Yes.
I don't know what.
Yes. Yeah. House Elgin. Your Yeah. I mean, he would basically be your butler, so to speak, or does everything, right?
Okay. All right.
I'm trying to think of the term. It's in my glossary, probably.
Was churl the wrong?
I have no idea. That we'll take it though. We'll take it.
I don't know where that came from. I don't know.
You mean like a house Carl?
Yeah, house Carl. That's it. Right.
Carl,
I think that might be above the station. As far as I know, house Carl is a bit of like a land holder, perhaps, or
No, this would be your, your housekeeper is the perfect. Perfect. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Housekeep.
Yeah, we got a chamberlain, the official manager of a royal house, but you're not a royal house.
Yeah.
Right.
Housekeep is fine for now.
Yeah, housekeeper. But Elgin, and Elgin is a peasant. Elgin is a peasant, and he is a very humble servant. But you might find yourself frustrated at times, as Elgin isn't necessarily the hardest worker, and maybe not real bright. But he does well when you give him orders.
He is a man of the land, so to speak.
Yes. Yeah, he used to be until you got here and it cleaned him up and said you're going to go to work for me, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but he might have been a young poacher if you had not pulled him from the brush, right?
Okay, all right, okay. So I will, as I gather my things, I will have Elgin there attending to me,
okay,
so to speak, and I will. As is my way, I will remind him of the duties that I'm sure he already is aware of. to do daily, and I just give him a stern reminder that I expect everything to be as it should be when I return, mm-hmm. and that if anything should come up to which he is not comfortable in handling, he should feel comfortable in handling it. So.
And you get the typical response from the 15-year-old Elgin. You realize that you're going to have to repeat yourself, as he's never really mm-hmm. paying attention. He's looking at his feet, or he's fiddling around with something. So you have to do what mm-hmm. you do steadily, which is repeat the order, and then once he realizes he acknowledges. You've not left, I don't think, much. Maybe in this 14 months, right? Do you leave the house often? Or, I should say the tower.
I would say yes. I would say that I would daily take walks. Not really believing or having to really walk the land in order to remind myself that this is an actual thing.
Okay.
In his past, he has been many things, but never a landowner.
Right.
So this is a major deal for him.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's kind of like, he'll walk out, maybe take nature hikes. Maybe that's what it's more like, Mm-hmm. But these are also the duality of these walks is also just because he is amazed that he's in the position that.
Okay.
Yeah. Even though he is very, very, very well aware that his presence here is one of multiple facets. He is very aware that if things turn towards a more military state of being, that he is in no position to really, really do anything other than to maybe relay the fact that, hey, things are going awry, and it may be.
Right. Well, yeah, you would be of value to young Westweld as an advisor. There is no doubt. There is no doubt as a war advisor.
Well, I mean more so if someone were to actually attack.
Oh yeah, you mean you don't have any home protection?
Yeah, there's really nothing he could do other than to just be an early warning.
Yes, gotcha.
So he's aware of that.
Unfortunately, you haven't seen or heard much like that. I mean, again, this 14 months has been unusually calm and peaceful. And you're in the South region where Mort's troublemakers do more of their dirty work early. Yeah. So you've been fortunate so far not to see much of that. Yeah.
And all right. He still doesn't sleep very well, but yeah.
Now, are you going to? Will you leave in the morning for Dredgetown, or are you leaving the? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we're gonna assume you'll leave in the morning. We're gonna head over to Yrsa, the Dane Volva. Tell me where you're at, Yrsa. What are you up to?
So, for the past several months since the dissolution of Lodvir's army, right, and them being kicked out of England, essentially, I've been trying to make my way south to find the great Daneslayer, the man who carries the bear claw, the famed runeblade, because the last vision that I had that I had let Lodvir know about was that the gods had shown me that he would be killed by a great bear. And the vision wasn't obviously clear, but just that it was a bear. And so having told him that, and then he was feeling confident going into that fight against Savaric, because he was like, I'm not going to die. This man, he's just a man, right? Well, I took that as a sign from the gods that this man is fated somehow, and that I, being named Yrsa, which is she-bear in Danish, is, needs to hitch my wagon to him, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So I would have been, obviously making my way south, and I think at some point I would have discovered his whereabouts and realized that he ranged perhaps more in the Southlands now, but I would have been following him, trying to catch up to him. And I would imagine that there would have been several times where, he would look, right. And, like I would have just ducked behind a tree or, very kind of spooky, right. Like, oh my God, is the woodwoes back? Like that kind of thing. But, I think perhaps I've finally gotten close enough to him that I'm on his trail and I know where he is. And so I think that the way I imagine this is that I'm kind of flitting ahead, darting from tree to tree, and because I'm in the wild at the moment, I'm dressed in this just crazy getup, right? With like a crown with some antlers on it, right, and pelts and stuff. And so from a distance, I imagine it's very possible that I might look like a deer. And if it's all right with everybody, what I would do is I would essentially be kind of following Saverick while he was like hunting, and perhaps there's a few times where he thinks that there's a deer out there, and so I think maybe the final time he's like, all right, I'm going to take my shot, and he shoots, right, and the arrow clips my pelt and kind of like pins it to a tree. And then as he would approach, obviously, and that's where I would be, with, and much like the picture in my overlay, right, with, that sort of dark soot stained, almost like a mask across my eyes, very like piercing eyes, with the deer's antlers and all the furs.
You're muted.
And carrying a stick.
Muted.
I'll play off that right now with us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Because what I've did is I felt this weariness and dread, and I'm always paranoid, probably about somebody approaching me, just wanting to get a sight of him or harass me. I feel, but I've also felt a peculiar uneasiness around the area, and I've driven my sword, which if you trailed me from time to time, especially when I set up camp, I'll drop my sword down there in the semblance of the cross, and keep one eye open as I catch a little bit of sleep here and there. But I also have the bow at the ready, and at that moment I would have, since I am doing a lot of hunting and I'm going on the hunt, checking traps for pelts in that circular response along the wood line. I've driven my sword in there, but I feel that something's been following me here and there. At times I think it might be a deer, and that's when I draw and pull back. And I've been laying in wait for around an hour before you make a fatal mistake and make a move, and that's when I let loose the arrow. Right. And that's when it may pin you right there. Well, I stop and wait to see the hit, and then I shift forward in the leaves and start to move forward in a low crouch. And as I'm pulling the sword out of the ground behind me and slipping it in my R-sling in the bag. Okay? With the shield, so I'm crouching up on you slowly to see if perhaps you are a deer and are about to take off. While I'm drawing my bow again and looking forward.
Sure. And I think probably what would happen is I realize that I am pinned to the tree, and it's not a totally unexpected thing for me or whatever, but I would kind of, be working at the arrow to try to get it out of the tree. And then because I think probably I would have like ducked back behind the tree, and he just got me, so most of my body would be obscured. And so yeah, I think what I would do is kind of at some point, yank the arrow free. And actually, no, I wouldn't, because my body does not have a lot of strength. I unfortunately
Fighting, do you lose?
Between the cost of these visions is quite high for me, and so I think eventually I kind of give up on the arrow and I sort of maneuver myself around the tree,
Right.
hopefully to see him and
Sure.
to wait for him. Yeah.
I'm circling around the tree with my bow drawn to get a good. And since you've
Right.
to your own narrative detriment, you pin yourself in a corner, and that's when you become unveiled to me as I come around the corner. I don't. I stop and stammer for a second, about to let loose to finish off my kill, and when I recognize this humanoid form, what are you? And I'll slide in again. Tell me your name. I've got the ready.
Let's make a
What language
let's make
are
a
you
prestige
speaking?
check here too for you, Del, against his prestige. So you're going to make a mind check against his prestige. I'll add his prestige to the difficulty, or her prestige to the difficulty.
My prestige is
Gotcha.
2.
Gotcha. I got a mine of 1.
Okay.
Okay, so there's 7 with mine.
Okay. You would recognize Ursa from having seen her about the Dane army that you, the man that you slew last year.
Okay.
So
Well,
it would as she starts to come into focus, you would recognize that she was, attached to you.
Okay, I'm pulled back, and who are you? And that's when the recollection floods over me, and then I'll get slant-eyed, and this almost look of hatred goes over my face, and I'll slide in. You've come to let me finish the job, and then I'll pull up, and I'm walking right to you to launch directly into.
Yeah.
Did you not see what
Are
I
you-
did to
are you-
your master?
Are you speaking in Danish or in the Saxon tongue, the English?
Oh, no. I've gone down into Slavic. That's the point.
Okay,
Right
Slavic.
there. Yeah, I've gone primal almost. You know what I mean? I've been
Sure.
harassed and harried around this town for 14 months here. Over the last,
Yeah, he's distancing himself from the English
Yeah.
in every way he can.
And I
you've come to finish
believe,
the job.
yeah. So I wouldn't understand Slavic, but if I remember correctly, you did speak. Did you speak Danish at one point during the fight with Lodvir?
Probably some broken Danish, but
Broken, okay,
I mean,
yeah.
right now, if you want to speak to me in some tongue,
No. Yeah, that's fine. I think I would respond by. Okay, this is how I would respond. I would look at you, right? You piercing blue eyes, right? They would catch yours, and for a minute, you see me kind of blink as if I'm like trying to like blink away a vision or whatever. And yeah, I would say first in Danish, kind of to myself, the great bear, he shows himself. And the way I'm, and then you see my eyes are very like unfocused, right? Is it like they're almost like they're trying to focus on you, but it's hard to do so. And then I would speak in kind of a broken, Saxon English, like, Severick the Daneslayer, I finally have caught up with you.
I reluctantly draw my bow down as I draw my sword out, and just across myself, bringing it back to your memory what I slayed your master with, and I'll point it toward you as I see you're pinned, and I'm eyeing the where you're pinned, and I look at it and I pick up the horn like that and topple it off your head, and then start. And then I'll glance about a second, like Are you here alone?
As you glance about, you catch to your right, just in the bushes, a slight glimmer of something. But then you focus back on her. But something catches your eye, maybe 15, 20 feet to the right in the bushes.
Okay, right. Immediately when it does, that's when I pivot around and get real low on the ground, almost beside her, on the other side of the trunk of the tree. When I get the knife or the sword out, and I'll turn it to where any kind of light filtering in through doesn't reflect itself.
Okay.
And then I'll grab her at the base of the neck and the hair, and twist her head toward the look there, woman. Who did you bring with you?
Ooh, can I beseech Odin to provide me with a vision?
Sure. Let's make a spirit check.
Yeah. So I will. I'll use my spirit, which is 3. So let's see. Ooh. So I got a 14. So I would have an 11 plus the 3.
Okay. Yeah.
So not a crit, but
so
yeah.
let's hear this. Let's hear this vision.
Okay. Let's see. How much do I want to screw things here? Okay. So I would look, right, and what you would have noticed too is that as you kind of had grabbed my neck, right, I had my dagger out, but what I do is I cut my palm so that it bleeds, and I would lick it, and then I look over, and my eyes are kind of going, and then they would like roll back, and I would say. Probably in Danish, since it's my more comfortable language, right? It is not someone who came with me, but it is someone who means you harm. The gods are showing me it. Someone who knows you from your past, perhaps. But and you would see I'm breathing heavy, but I think it's because it's not out of like fear. Like as the sword is your sword is this close to me, and you're physically it's like this this sense of excitement, like And she says, I believe you could rip him apart with no problem.
Call it to you, and I relax my grip off the back of your neck as I slink backwards and go around the tree, and I'll post up behind it, and I'm going to flank around the corner after I gig her with a knife with the sword.
Oh, you're gonna bonk. Oh
no! I'm gonna dig it into you a little bit to get you
okay.
To squill out like the pig you are, and get you to do that, and I'll slink back and try to get around from a different position.
Okay.
Okay.
And as you move around that,
call them to you, witch.
As you move around the tree, you kick around the tree something you hadn't noticed yet. And glancing down again, you are focused, but you take in quickly what appears to be a rib cage, and then you start to see about you in this clearing, this large tree that she is affixed to with the arrow, that there are bones scattered that you've all worked through and have just now you're seeing, Savric.
Okay,
lots of human bones. And
as the rattle of bones go around my ankles, I'm going to look down and try to bring back to memory what may be in this region that could have, decimated these creatures. I don't know if they're old bleach bones or if they're of a new, thing, but
they are. I won't say bleach bones, but they're old enough that the skin is gone from them. 3, yeah. You don't recall anything that would be here, but
gotcha.
As you look about the bones and you see the location of the bones, you realize that these were victims of something other than a creature, right? Maybe
Okay.
you seeking blade marks on the
notches in the
right,
bones or whatever
right,
else. Gnawed.
skulls.
So, yeah.
As you start to take it all in, you see in the tree line just a few feet away, there's skulls mounted on pikes. This you've never seen before in all of your journeys through the lands as a warden. This is something you've not seen before, but this has been here long enough. This is
Yeah.
not new.
That's fine, because right now it confirms something about her that I'm thinking, right?
Well, and I think to add to that, I would say again, kind of in Danish. I don't know how to describe it. I think I would say, you must be careful, bear. Those bones are of your, and I'm trying to say it in the Saxon tongue, your homeland. They were slaves, I believe.
Let's make
And you can tell I'm like my whole like.
I'll blanch at that
Yeah.
and look at you, cold, still eyes, and they're going to give a because I know that this right here is a killing field, and that you're trying to draw me into. So I will double up
me into.
and try to, try to go around the corner there and affix myself. But all the time I'm looking to where for the movement of that.
As you look where you had seen the glimmer, there's no movement. And you make out, again, as you focus in on it, you make out that there is something standing in the bushes, but it's not moving. It's stationary.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whenever
I get to it,
think about it. I'm going to go to David here for a second, guys. So think about what you'll do here once you have this information. All right, Faustus. So, again, we aren't on the exact same timeline, so it can be the next morning here with Faustus as you rise and do your normal morning routine. Elgin, of course, follows you around doing all of his duties and is prepared to secure the home and keep it as you have ordered him when you leave. Unless you expect him to attend. He stands there with his sack over his shoulder, packed, as if he thinks he is attending you on the trip.
I put a hand on his shoulder as my other, I guess my satchel would be in my other hand. And I say, boy, listen, once again. And I raise my voice and lean into him. I say, you will attend the homestead here. The chickens.
Yes, the chickens. Yes.
The cows.
Oh, yes, I will. And you will return when?
I'm not sure. For perhaps in a fortnight or so.
Fortnight. So every day, attend the chickens every day?
Yes, every day, young Elgin. Every day, as I have
Yes.
shown you.
Yes, I will do so. I will do so. And you'll return in a fortnight. Yes.
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 Make sure that the coop is shut tight so that no foxes are able to enter. Right?
Yes. Foxes. Yeah, we can. Yes, of course. I will not allow any chickens to stray away. Yes.
Gather the eggs. Milk the cow.
The cow.
Feed them.
So the same thing, but you just won't be here. Oh, yes, sir.
Yes.
I will, Faustus.
Feed yourself.
Okay. Yeah. And with that, he kind of looks like, that is true. I have not had breakfast. And he starts to rummage through his sack for an apple and brings it out and begins to eat.
Oh boy. Okay.
And as you begin to leave toward the exit, he'll throw the sack over his back and take 3 steps following you, as if he still doesn't quite get it, but then recognizes, oh yes, I'm supposed to stay here. And then you see him drop his sack on the floor and scrambles out past you toward the cow. I shall milk the cow. And he stumbles off past the old stone ruins here. Again, you're your land, your height of land granted to you by Washburn, thanks to your work in the war. This is a old watchtower, old Roman ruin, so it is. It's not farmland, so to speak, which is probably why Washburn allowed you to have it, because it's not productive, so to speak, right?
Not prime.
It's not workable land that produces, so to speak. So, and fortunately, you are a man of means, as you are the tutor to these children. So you're doing okay. But as you set out along the road, this is not a long day hike. Again, every morning around 10, the soldiers arrive with the kids. And this morning, because you did not have time to tell them you were coming up, you know that you're going to meet them somewhere along the road as you set out this morning, because there was no way for you to tell them that you were going to come back this morning. And about 8:39 on your hike up, you sure enough spy the soldiers and Sarah, young Joy, Sarah, and young Connor on the road, and they come running, smiling to you and greeting. Fastest! The youngest girl, Joy, comes running up. What are you doing out here? We are coming for our classes. Why are you out here? And they see that you are carrying, I'm assuming, your bags, your luggage, your sack. And Connor stops with the guards a ways away, watches his two sisters fawn and claw for you.
Okay. I kind of gather the young ones around me, infected by their energy, and Faustus begins to find himself laughing, and he says, "Settle down, children, settle down." He looks towards the I guess the soldiers, the men-at-arms that are there, kind of speaking to them and to the children at the same time. And Faustus he'll speak up, and he'll say, as in the tone, the tone of tutelage that he uses with the children. Kind of, I guess, I hesitate to say it's a voice of command, but a voice of
authority.
Tutelage. His teacher's voice, yeah.
Right.
And he says, I have been given a missive of import to attend to Master Westworld as soon as possible, and I find myself on the road to do so. So there'll be no tutelage today or the morrow or perhaps even the next until I find out what awaits me at my destination. And he nods at the soldiers, waiting for
young Joy. Young Joy smiles, but then frowns when she realizes there's no class today. Does that mean we get the day off to enjoy our new friend? And as she points toward the soldiers, stepping out was kind of hidden behind the soldiers, a very thin pagan woman. You can tell from her garb. Let's make a mind check here, Faustus. As she goes running toward this girl, this young woman, this pagan woman. Our new friend we met along the road this morning, and she runs away from you toward her.
Okay, 4.
Okay, yeah, there's something in her demeanor that is instantly off-putting to you, but you cannot put a finger on it, as maybe you're spooked because you didn't see her there, and then she suddenly steps out from behind one of the soldiers, and Joy goes running toward her, and you see her, the look on her face as the girl gets within touching range. She, with just a look, stops Joy dead. Joy smiling, though, and still pattering on. But the woman does not let the girl touch her or get within arm's reach. The soldiers, they don't appear to be flummoxed by the fact that she's here at all.
Okay.
They don't even acknowledge that, they're not ignoring her, but they're not, it's like, she just...
What about her character tells me that she is a pagan?
That would be her dress, her tattoos, her hair, and she hanging from her neck. is a pagan symbol of Gaia, but more than that is the painted symbols on her face and arms. From this distance, you can't make out the painted symbols. You can just see that she is painted.
Okay. Would Faustus? Well, how would Faustus find it strange that this pagan is actually in the presence of these children? How odd is
there's.
that?
I mean, we're in Dredge County. There can be pagan hovels and pagans workers and peasants. However,
Okay.
she definitely seems to have some. Joy clearly sees her as a friend, and but you've never heard of her before. You've never seen her before. But Joy acts like they're best friends. Sarah is standing there looking at you and looking back at the woman. Again, all of the men appear to just accept her. They don't guffaw at her, but they're not.
Okay.
They're not acknowledging. They're just not acknowledging that it's kind of, yeah, look, we've met this woman on the road. They're not partaking in the conversation, so to speak.
And did you say, and how is young Connor? What's his reaction?
Same as the soldiers. They're just watching on,
Oh,
kind of bored, waiting for, well, are we turning around, or do we have the day off?
Oh, okay.
As Joy asked, right? But they don't
Okay.
pay attention to Joy and her new friend.
I don't answer Joy's query right away. What Faustus will do is he would stride up to the pagan woman and eye her, and then looking down at Joy, he will say, introduce me to your new friend, and look at the pagan.
Okay, and
The eye.
as you do, Joy vanishes along with those that were here, and you stand now within arm's reach. You realize before you know it, she has a hand upon your chest, and she is speaking in a language you do not comprehend. Well, you can make a roll. You can make a Rhine check to see if you can pick up this language.
Let's see here. Okay, 5.
Yeah, you pick up just enough. It's an ancient Gaelic dialect, and she, which tells you she's more Irish than she is from England. This is an Irish woman, and the how can I say this? The feeling in your limbs, as if you're numb, almost as if you're stuck there, as she holds on your chest. There's no burning. There's no. But you feel almost as if you are within her grasp.
Okay. Do I infer anything from her dialect? Does she sound condescending, angry?
No, as if she
pleading?
is. No, as if she is reciting a form of poetry. This you would recognize as a curse or a spell.
Oh, okay. Okay, having nothing else to go upon, but not necessarily fearing. I guess fight or flight hasn't kicked in at this time. Faustus would actually, out of more maybe morbid curiosity, if anything, will focus on the words that she's saying and try to possibly memorize some of them, for later on.
Okay, let's make.
uh,
So as you do this, you hear her speaking to you in your mind, not actually speaking to you audibly. You hear her in your mind,
Okay.
and she says, "Who are you?" She roots about. You can feel her in your mind.
Okay.
Oh, you, Faustus. You are Faustus. And then you can hear her again as she mumbles and whispers directly into your mind. You are going to the Lord. You have business there, and yes, you will take me with you. Let's make a spirit check against this. And I'm not going to tell you the difficulty, but it's pretty stout.
Okay.
Not trust an Irish witch.
3.
Okay. And you feel compelled to allow her to go with you.
He doesn't.
but
he's
you-
not strong of spirit.
And let's make a mind check as you are. So you got two problems here. One, she's in your head, but two, you're attempting to focus on her actual words to memorize them. So let's make a mind check to see if you can pick up any of these words you're trying to memorize.
That's another 5. So
Okay, that you do indeed pick up some of the words, enough to know that it is an incantation in which she is creating this ability to speak to you and to manipulate you, right? But you didn't pick up enough that you could use it yourself later.
Okay, all right, okay,
Right.
all right. That was a good shot. Okay, Faustus is not one to have truly or fully embraced the idea or the validity of actual magic per se.
That will lower the DV. Yeah,
So-
I mean, that's legit.
That being said, and I know I say this a lot, but for good or bad, he probably isn't wise enough
Right.
to run when he should.
Well, you don't feel you have much command over your limbs while she's got her hand on
Well,
your chest.
you know,
so, yeah. You
he-
may want
he's-
to, but you haven't tried yet, right?
Yeah, he's ignorant of the ways of magic, probably purposefully.
Right.
But so at her suggestion
Right.
of accompanying him, even though he has seen that Joy and the rest of that party has vanished before his eyes, he will smile at the woman, and if he can, he will say, "Well, surely, as I've asked you before, introductions are due, and it is only polite to know who is in one's presence while making a journey."
She whispers again, completely
In trouble.
understanding in your mind, right? Because there's no language barrier as she roots around your mind. Beryl is my name, Faustus.
Okay.
And you get, as she says this, you get somewhat of a flash. And the flash is it's less of a vision and more of a feeling that there has been much violence in her past. That this is a very, again, the flash is more of a feeling, but a feeling of death.
Oh, okay.
Right,
Like
she
she
is-
has the pallor of death about her.
Well,
almost.
or that she has been involved in much violence in her.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But you do know for a fact that the soldiers and the kids should be on this trail coming towards you at some point. So there's a realization here that, you know, they will be on this road along the way at some point if she has not fallen upon them before you.
Oh wow. Okay. Do I get the feeling that even though she has basically death walks with her, do I feel as though she herself raise the hackles on the back of my neck as though she herself is deadly or is dangerous, or that, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
that-
without question, you know it is her that is dangerous. Yeah, without question,
wow.
it is her.
Okay.
Right. The first, matter of fact, when you first saw her illusion and took her in, you've got an instant negative kind of vibe, right? As she is almost, in a way, what you might believe is evil, but it
wow.
didn't strike you.
How old does she appear to be at this
She
point?
appears to be 21, 22.
Oh, very young.
Yeah, she appears to be young.
Okay.
And the reality is her vision of the soldiers and the kids was incredibly real and accurate.
Yeah.
You're a wise man. You can put two and two together that she had to have seen them at some point.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I seem to actually be at her mercy, for lack of a better term. So, I guess Faustus would are my limbs still frozen? Am I still somewhat paralyzed at this point?
If you attempt to move, to do what she's bid, she pulls her hand away and allows you to move, to walk.
Okay. All right. Usually or typically, Faustus will have his walking stick or his short staff or whatever.
Okay.
And he will. I'll kind of move the crook of my arm in her direction, offering it to her.
The stick.
No, the actual crook of my arm.
To guide her. To guide her.
Yeah, to give it. Yeah, or
Okay.
she could actually even guide me and just accompany me. You know?
She will not allow you to touch her. She makes sure she stays, and she shakes her head. And you hear her now say in a thick Irish accent, "You know where to take me, Dredgetown."
Okay. All right. Okay.
To the Lord. Right.
Okay. All right. I will slowly nod then.
Okay.
Fully realizing that this woman seems to be all about the business.
Yeah. She's not controlling you so much as she has compelled you. And you can't seem to convince yourself that it's again, she's not in control of you, but she's compelled you in such a way that you can't convince yourself that why not go to Dredgetown? That's where I was going anyway, right? So
Right.
you are effectively under some type of charm. You're aware of it. I mean, it's kind of like when you're dreaming and you know you're dreaming.
Yeah.
Right. You're aware of it,
yeah.
but there's not much you can seem to do about it, right? Your
all right.
will is just compromised just enough. That doesn't mean you can't challenge it, of course, right?
Okay.
As you move on, and again at your normal pace, probably 15 minutes further down the road, this is where you first see signs of there had been some kind of altercation or struggle here on the old Empire Road. You actually, as you're walking along, you can see where there had been the end of a struggle, and as you're walking, you're passing through where the struggle went down, and by the time you get 15 or 20 feet through this area of disheveled ground, you see evidence that there is some blood and there is some drag marks where somebody was accosted and drugged from the road and hidden in the bushes to the left of you. You're taking all this in as you're she's walking behind you, and as you're moving through, and some evidence that it was multiple people involved in this altercation. But there is blood and there is fresh drag marks.
Ooh.
You can't see her; she's behind you. But as you move through this area,
I will investigate. I will look.
Okay.
I'm able.
And as you look
Just
about, let's make a quick luck check here. Not high, 4. You just need a 4, which is what I think fair.
That's good. Or 5. Okay. Yep.
Okay. And you spot just drug off the road boots, and then you track up from the boots to see color, and the color is of the heraldry or the garb.
Yeah.
The kit of the Dredgetown, Dredgetown soldiers, and then from there, your eye tracks slightly to the right, and you see the second soldier. These are the guys that generally escort the kids, right? But no sign of the kids among these two.
Okay. That would shock Faustus.
Yeah.
Because He cares very much for the children. And the thought of anything happening to them would basically, it would enrage him. Actually,
Okay.
They are children.
Yeah.
They are innocents, and they have been under his care for the longest. So even though he has no children, he is attached to them.
Sure.
You know,
of
so the
course.
fact that something would happen to them would just
Okay.
and Faustus would turn to the pagan woman is she standing there behind him still?
She is surprised somewhat that you've turned. Let's make that spirit check. Now we're lowering the rating. You've said you don't buy into magic, and you're enraged. So I've lowered your DV here, as you've described aptly why you would be motivated to break this spell. So let's get. You're going to need a spirit check against 7.
I'm rolling good tonight, man. 6.
So you're able to turn toward her, but you immediately. It's almost as if you, I won't say fear her, but it's like the minute you turn toward her, the look on her face arrests you, and you find yourself saying, "Yes, but I guess we do have to go on to Dredgetown, right?" I mean, you're feeling your consciousness not want to argue, so to speak, right, with her.
Yeah. Okay.
You're conscious. You're totally aware that you're. Yeah. Right. It's.
I guess in my mind, I would actually be having somewhat of a conversation, with the coherent and the logical Faustus telling the dream walker Faustus, something's not right here. This doesn't make sense. You can't have any kind of glamour over you. It's got to be that she's convinced you somehow, or
right.
Right. you're under what do they call them? What did they call them? They call them I can't think of the term, but
right.
You must be exhausted, or you need to rest, or
delusion.
trying to come up with a logical reason as to why this could be happening.
Right.
So I guess outwardly, the pagan woman, she would probably hear and see Faustus actually mumbling to himself.
Yeah, and she stands there appearing to be patient and wait for your, and then she'll take 2 steps ahead, and if you let her, she'll reach out to touch your chest again.
I have no reason not to. She's still got me under her spell. So
and then you feel it as you feel her hand touch you, and again she speaks it directly into your mind. Yes, Faustus, they are gone. But you sense she's somewhat mischievous in this statement. It's not a matter-of-fact statement. It's almost like she knows that you've seen evidence of what's happened, but almost as if she's attempting to trick you into believing that they're all gone. There's something in her tone, but she's messing with your head a little bit. Right.
I'll shake my head, refusing to believe that. Well, gone could have many different meanings, so still mumbling to himself, shaking his head, Faustus will continue he'll continue walking.
Okay. And she'll allow you to step away from her hand as long as you're, going where she's asked. And then we will fade to black. Think about that as we'll fade back over to Ursa and Savrik. So again, you are huddled around this tree together to some degree. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, you tell me.
No. Whenever I gigged her to cry out, I had said I moved up a little around the flank, low, and I've stayed there for a minute to see if there was a response to the cry. And at this time, I've already reloaded the bow. Seeing no one respond to it, and I'll let loose at this witch.
And
All
me?
right, I'm trying.
At
Yes, I'm
Ursa?
trying. I'm trying. It can work either way. But I'm talking about
really?
this. No, yeah, I'm shooting. So I'm trying not to hit, just to let you know.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay.
If it hits, it still works. Okay, I got a nat 12.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm glad I didn't say 2 hit. But anyway, no. So okay, so the bolt will dig into like right beside her head, right to the side,
Right.
and then I'll wait a moment and see if there's any shifting, and I'll glance over at that light and I'll say, "I have your bitch pinioned to the tree. Show yourself before I split her in twain."
And again,
Now wait for it
as
to-
you look on, squinting into the in that general direction, just something there in the bush
Yeah.
doesn't move, but it hasn't moved.
And I would speak at that point. I would say, Zabrak, I have come alone. There's no one here with me. I came to see you. We are bound together now.
Okay. I hear it come up over the, through the leaves as I'm already slinking along. And I'm coming in closer to the park, but I'm putting up my bow and I'm starting to pull out my my sword as I go in toward this glinted area.
Okay.
And
Where you saw a glint, there's not glint every time you look. It's just
yeah,
something
where I
cut.
saw
Yeah.
the glint.
So-
Where I saw the glint. Like
So as you move in toward this glint and part the bushes somewhat as you step through, you see that it is an altar. And it is an old Roman altar, stands about 3.5, 4 feet high, stone altar. Looks more like an old column that somebody brought out here and set up as an altar. So it would be an old Roman column from some old ruin, right? That's been broken off down to maybe 3 or 4 feet high, and it's been sat out here in the woods, and resting on top is a what appears to be a dagger, some kind of blade. No hilt though; it's like a blade is resting on the top of it.
Yeah. I look around for, immediately look around for any kind of signs of activity. Like if somebody just left there, I fully expect that somebody was in wait. That is 9.
Yeah, the activity. No, it doesn't appear. The leaves, the natural ground around the altar, not disturbed in a long
Has been
time.
messed with, okay.
Hasn't been messed with.
I'll-
The blade
I'll breathe
appears
out.
to have been there a long time. There's actually a little bit of moss, maybe, grown between the blade
Yeah.
and the.
I hiss inside, look around. It seems peaceful and quiet. I'll reach up and take the blade and the dagger, twist it, look at the handle, and I turn my head and glance down at the witch as she's struggling about. Ursa,
Nope. No,
So you
she's
just stay
perfectly
there,
calm.
supplied, and just
He's watching on.
I will step out of the bramble, the little covering
Yeah.
that I assume someone was behind, and you'll see me part out of there, and I take the dagger and slide it in beside the other dagger that I.
Okay.
keeping in the belt.
It's just a blade. There's no hilt.
There's no hilt. just
No,
the blade.
it's just the blade
Gotcha.
of a stiletto,
Gotcha.
right? Of an old dagger. Not old, but I mean old enough that it's been here a long time. But there's no
well,
hilt.
it's still usable to me. So I'll slip it in the thing and
Oh shit!
walking.
I just
as I'm putting-
rolled some nasty shit here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to tell you, had to ruin it for you.
Don't. Anyway, I'm sliding in.
That's
there a
what
little
sucked
bit
when you
more,
roll something like, holy shit!
I'm looking both ways as I walk down toward Ursa.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? And I'll walk silently behind you. Pray tell you may speak the truth, wench. And I'll lean forward and cut pull the arrow out, cut her loose from the tree
Okay.
and put it back in my quiver. I'll say actually if it looks to be splintered and broken where she tried to wrestle with it.
Right.
So I throw it, but I keep the head of it and I put it back in there. I'll have to do it in the arrow shaft.
Okay.
And I hoist you up. And why are you following me? You've been on my trail, I suspect, for months now.
Yeah,
You know,
and
Where are
Go
the
ahead.
rest of your clan?
I
I
have
say
no
this still
clan.
looking around.
Sure, yeah. I have no clan. I was pledged to Lodvir, and then you killed him, you defeated him, and the gods told me that our destinies were intertwined. So I followed you, and now we are together.
The gods that told you to follow Lodvir? That he
Yes.
was your champion?
He was.
It was.
I do not know why I was put into his life other than perhaps to meet you. You must understand, it was I that helped him become the great warrior he was. And I warned him that it would be a great bear that would kill him. I was fearful of him going into battle, but he didn't listen.
When you say that a little bit, I kind of I'm taken aback. And my mind goes to what I hold on my back. Perhaps there's some truth in what you say. But
Oh yeah, and I would look like right in your eye, like just as much as I can, and I would say, Saverick, I will never lie to you. It would do me no good, but I will do what I can to help you, for the gods have a plan for you as well.
your gods seem dethroned. It was Christ that compelled me to take your master, to spill his guts across the field of battle. Christ alone stripped and went into the bowels of your Valhalla and championed himself there. All the gods bowed to him. And I'll take the sword out, this sword, the bear, and I'll hold it to you in a way like that you
Yep.
obviously saw me reference it in the battle. And I'll set it down and put my hand over the hilt.
Oh yeah, and
This is
like.
the cross.
Well, it's like when you pull it out, there's this sense of like almost like aroused excitement. It's like,
Yeah.
you just whipped out the bear, and now she's like,
Yeah.
or the bear claw, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as you're doing
And
this, right?
I'm judging your
Yeah.
reactions.
Yeah.
As I
Oh,
take
yeah.
it in, kind of drink it in, your reaction.
Yeah,
Let's make a
no, she's
let's make a
Go
luck
ahead.
check here, both of you. A luck check for me.
I'm going to take my hand and grab her
no
by
luck.
the chin and pull it away from after a moment, away from her sight.
six.
Of
Yep.
of
Six?
the bear and look
Okay.
at me.
What did you
Yeah.
get there for luck check?
5.
Okay. You are aware that it's getting late in the day. It is not yet dark. The sun has not yet dipped below the horizon, but you are suddenly aware that it's later in the day than you realized, as its sun will set, in 15 minutes or so, right? And just so you know, right?
Gotcha.
Luck will have it. You recognize it will be getting dark soon.
The gods are telling me that the sun. No.
Luck will happen.
So
You noticed it.
yeah.
You know,
Well,
I'm looking
that's
around
lovely.
after I grab your chin and pull you up to my eyes. I'll take my other hand and pull the sword out and put it back in my scabbard behind myself, and I say, "It draws late. I don't find this area befitting. It's been tainted by your kind." And I'm looking at the bones strewn about. And then I'll kind of roughly grab hold of you and tug you with me. We camp over the rise. And I'll
Sure.
make my way over that way to find a little area that I know to set up camp for the night.
Yeah, in about 20 minutes,
Yeah.
15 minutes, as you approach over the rise, it is now dark. And back from whence you came, you hear the unnatural screams of some foul demon. And let's make
Okay.
a spirit check here, Ursa.
That's fine to let you know,
Cool.
Ursa, while we were walking. I'm kind of picking your brain about, I'll be asking the questions about why you're here, what brought you here.
Yeah.
Do a little interrogation to find out why y'all were here in the first
Sure.
place, if there's any association with that.
Yeah,
not
and
really
maybe
pertinent
perhaps
to this game, but
because he keeps asking that, I don't really have the time or the clarity to be able to really understand, unless it's very clear what this thing is. But I assume a 5 is not.
No,
gonna
yeah,
cut it.
5 is enough for you.
Oh, it is. Okay,
Yes,
cool.
this is told in the lore and legend of. This would be. This is an
gotta
unholy,
well.
unnatural creature. It is clear to you that it is not a natural scream. You don't, of course, know what this would be
Sure.
in this land, but you've
Right.
heard the tales of such a creature. Yeah.
Okay.
In this
I
particular
freeze
country,
up when I
hard.
hear it.
What's that?
I freeze up when I hear it because obviously we've already struck camp and are sitting there.
Sure.
And I've been kind of interrogating you along the way with these basic questions. Is what I mean. Whenever we do
Yeah.
hear this.
Now you made your
scream.
spirit check. You have these moments when you choose to see the future, and when you've seen the future, do you have? How do they come back to you? Do they come back to you?
Yeah. So typically, what would happen? So I'm in a lot more lucid state right now. As if I want very strong visions, what I would do and recall, I would eat these mushrooms that I always carry with me. That help me to be able to connect with the gods,
Right.
But now that's starting to fade a little bit.
Right.
So what would happen is I would be getting almost like my eyes would roll back again, so it's just the whites, and I would get this vision. But I think it would be almost like shrouded with like a fog or a mist or something, and so I would probably see the vision, but it would be a bit more obscured.
Okay.
Yeah.
This might be related to the vision you had earlier with Savrik, but you can't be sure if this is. You saw the vision of a former foe, right? You saw the vision of someone from his past, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
But that didn't jive with this unholy scream, this unnatural scream, right?
Right. Yeah, no, I mean they it's not clear to me whether or not those two things are related.
Correct.
Yeah, I think at this point and so probably, as he was sort of interrogating me, so to speak, first thing I would have done is I would have said, you do not need to push or grab me. I will come with you willingly. I am here only to help you. And then, as you're asking the questions, I would just keep repeating. Right, it is our it is our destiny to be together. I have foreseen it. I have always been attached to a man of great power, and your power is on the rise. And you kind of ask it in different ways, right? Stop. You're being vague. Stop it. Whatever. Right. But I would just keep saying the same thing, and then finally the scream permeates, and I would imagine we would both look, and I would like almost start to tip backwards because my vision clearly, and I think maybe you would like, grab me or whatever just to stop me from falling over, unless you don't want to, but
Let her fall into the ground.
yeah.
You're muted,
But-
Dale. You're muted, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm on high alert anyway, so I wouldn't necessarily, if you start to topple backwards.
Right.
I'm just going to be doing a 180 with dagger in hand and looking about.
Yeah.
What unnatural creature have you set
So
upon
with
us,
that, both of you make a mind check at a lower level, as you are aware. You need a 4. And if you already have mind of 4, you're good to go.
Nope. I have a 12.
Nice.
All right.
What did you get, Dale?
10.
Yeah. You hear from the direction you came. You heard the scream a few moments ago. You now hear something moving through the brush, and you hear yet another piercing scream. And this is half the distance that you traveled in 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm stomping the fire that I just started it kindling out,
Okay.
and I'll pick her up and flip her over as she's toppled backwards. Lay low. He comes upon us,
Okay.
and then I'll lay low, gathering up my instruments of death.
Okay.
around
So let's
me.
make a luck check. You've kicked out the fire. You're holding her basically low.
All right, that's 12 total, not net.
Okay. And suddenly, bursting into your area, is a tall, lanky creature. It stands maybe 7 feet. It is humanoid in nature, long curved spine, long, lanky arms, long fingernails, and it stops and looks about where you have just kicked out the fire. It is bald, with pointed ears, and it smells the air, and you see now that its nose is basically gone. It's got 2 holes in its face where its nose is rotted off, and as it opens its mouth, as if it's going to scream again, you see its large fangs, and it kind of
If he's throwing about his head to I'm assuming howl is when I'll try to launch forward
okay,
and
make
drive.
yeah,
Drive my dagger to the hilt.
yep,
If you have your dagger drawn, I would have kind of slunk back a little bit, but I would say no, the dagger will not kill it. You must use your sword.
But I'd be muttering,
Embrace the bear.
why didn't you foresee this, witch? And then just struck to the hilt as I launched forward into
yeah.
the.
That's the
belly.
problem with seers;
I
they
rolled a
never
6.
see really what you need them to see.
I see only what the gods wish me to see.
Right. That's funny.
Yeah, if you say that, I'm
That's how I feel,
No,
man. I'm the
well,
naive
I
narrator. I'm just
could,
rolling
yeah.
shit on a chart. It's like, holy shit! I wish the seer could have saw this coming.
I could.
But no, I just rolled a 6. Okay. No, that ain't no.
A 6. Yeah, it turns with phenomenal speed and grace,
Yeah.
and wrenches your arm from its socket, holding your bladed arm, and you will suffer a fatigued condition here, and that's when you see its long fingernails, clawed hands, and it's immeasurably strong and quick, and it now looks at you, and you can see as it breathes you in, smelling you in. You're seeing its eyes. They're bloodshot, blood red. This had been at some point a human. This had been at some point marked with tattoos you recognize from the old Slavic country. You might, with a successful mind check, draw upon who this might once have been in your life.
I don't think it's going to hit me at this moment because I'm too busy reaching
Yeah,
into.
there's
grab
something
that
familiar
blade.
about this
Just-
creature.
He's wrenched my +2 dagger out of my hand. So now
Oh
I've
no,
gotta
he
have the
just
-1
grabbed
dagger.
your arm and wrenched your shoulder. So you're just wounded. But he's got a hold of your dagger arm, right?
Yeah, but it's inoperable to me. Is
Okay,
the
right,
gist
right.
of it.
Gotcha.
So I'm reaching
Yeah.
with the other one to pull it out in surprise while he's hanging me up to gig him in the side.
Right.
Okay, that'll
Yeah.
be a negative, is all I'm saying. Because
Sure. Oh, yeah.
it's a piece of a blade.
There'll be a.
Yeah.
You mean it's going to get harder?
Well, I mean, with me,
Yeah.
because of the weapon I have.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Right.
going to get harder. What are you doing, desperate times?
Yeah.
Desperate
Maybe
measures.
someone should use the sword. I'm just saying.
Well, you drew the
no, but
sword,
I-
didn't you?
I didn't. No, I didn't have.
No,
it with
no,
me.
he
Remember,
said
the dagger,
he used
right.
he put it on his back and he went with the dagger. Yeah.
Okay. What'd you roll?
That was the only thing I had immediate grab. Okay, that would be with the negative. Negative is 7.
Okay. Wrenching you up higher and smacking away your feeble efforts, he draws across your neck his long fingernails, cutting not deep enough to kill you, but
Yeah.
cutting your throat with his fingernails as he hisses, and then leans in close as he kind of dangles you there, and you suffer the battered condition. And he says to you, now he's up close, and you can smell his rotten flesh.
Fitted.
And you can see almost right through his head where his nose has fallen off, and you can see into his skull. He says, "You took the blade."
I go a little bit wide-eyed as he said this in confusion. You can just see my eyes dart everywhere. And but when he says this, I don't know if he would know my reactionary glance as the only blade I have on me, right? Which was, and he may be able to see it, is what I'm telling you.
Well, it's on your back, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Like,
in the
yeah.
arsenal position. Right on the back.
And he realizes you kind of look up like you're referring to the sword, and you see this as he now cracks a smile, and he turns his head, cocks his head, and he goes, "No, the blade from the stone, you fool."
Okay, my eyes open and I look down at the blade in my hand that I was unsuccessful to hit him with.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say, this blade, and I'm going to try again. Whenever I pull up this blade, and then I'll try to,
Okay.
hit him almost like a distraction.
Okay.
This blade.
Right. Gotcha.
Give it to him.
Ursa, are you doing anything in particular? Uh-oh, did we lost Ursa?
Yes. No. Sorry, it's okay. I turned off the camera for a minute just to try to see if I can get it back.
Okay.
But because it was going all blurry, I would be kind of screaming at him, like, not screaming. What I would say is, he's persisting with this, and I say, the only way you will defeat this creature is to embrace who you are. Draw the blade and let the bear claws rip this thing and send it back to hell.
You do. I hear that, but
Now, you tried to
already
stab it,
in
correct?
motion.
Did we make the roll to see if
Yeah.
you stabbed it?
no, I'm about to.
Okay, make that roll
Now
while
I've been
you-
taking this as the negative because I'm unaware of. It's just a half, right? So I've been giving it a -2.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's a poor weapon. There's no doubt. Yeah, it's
Okay, so poor, just -1.
yeah.
So
Yeah. It's not a poor weapon?
Oh my God! I just rolled a 1.
Okay.
Crit fail.
His response is again he takes the dagger in the ribs, but lashes out at her as she says, what she says, and you feel the strike, Ursa, and it knocks you bandy 3 or 4 feet back as he strikes you in the face with his other hand, right upon
How rude.
you speaking to him to take the proper blade. And that's going to be 2 wounds, Ursa, as you are suffered a fatigue, now battered, fatigued and battered. And this would put you probably 3 or 4 feet back on your butt.
Okay.
Yes. And he's taken this in the ribs, so he's allowed himself to suffer the wound, but he has taken that out, that failed roll out. So again, for those watching, the failed roll I can use against anybody involved in the combat, and of course I have used it against the mouthy witch. The one giving...
That was a crit.
Right?
That was a crit fail
Crit
too.
fail.
So, but anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. But
And I'm just using it as a 2.
Dagger back.
Now, just to give you an idea, I could use the special effect, but I'm going rules as written. So, if we have another crit fail, it's going to get really deadly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't need to
So
do that.
mean.
So anyway, I thrash apart. I'm trying to, if this thing has me hanging there.
Right. We'll pause here and let you guys think about your strategy. Yes? Because poor David,
already.
he's had to
Yeah,
wait.
I might have to reload.
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't get my.
Go back
that's
to,
fine.
You can go without a camera if you have to. All right, Faustus, you have now arrived at the edge of Dredgewater proper. You still have another, 100 yards, 200 yards to go before you're up to the Palisade Gates into Dredgetown. You realize as you get into civilization, she is at this point up close to you and is holding onto your robes. She's got your lower robes clenched in her fist. She's not taking it like she's not taking you in hand. She's not touching you, but she's gotten herself close, almost as if you're meant to be together. Look as if you're supposed to be together.
Okay. I will come to a stop. Maybe with an exaggerated stumble.
Okay.
As I shake my head and say, this journey has tired me. You must give an old man an opportunity to rest his bones for a moment and catch his breath.
Okay, you hear her mutter something unintelligible to you, but and you feel a tug on your almost as if she's letting you know I have a hold of you, right? Yes. Let's make a luck check here as you enter town. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning. There are people about, locals. There are people in the streets, soldiers. It's not real busy, but it's there are people about.
10.
Okay.
Finally.
You hear screaming. It takes you a second when you hear this screaming from a distance behind you, and you begin to recognize it as you're kind of standing there. You're not facing it. It's behind you, coming in on the road from where you came, and you begin to hear this voice as it rings out that it is young Connor. And then you hear a high-pitched voice, and it is Joy. And then you hear another high-pitched voice, Sarah. And then you start to make out what they're saying. And they're screaming to the guards, stop the woman, the witch, Faustus. And you hear Joy screaming, Faustus, Faustus. And Connor is barking orders at soldiers. And before you know it, you feel her release from your garb and hiss. And now you find yourself standing there with her, and she is kind of circling you outward so she can keep her eye on all of the people that are now surrounding you. The guards come running, the kids come running, and she's kind of circling around you, facing out. Cowers realizes she is now surrounded, and the kids are there pulling on you and tugging you away from her. And you see Connor is beaten. He's got a couple of knots on his face, bloodied nose, where clearly he had been battered at some point. And the girl's crying and screaming as they have clearly witnessed what she did to the guards. And they begin to approach her, and it isn't long before the guards have got her in control. You now realize that she didn't have a whole lot of physical power over you. What she had was but you feel still compelled to go to Dredgetown. This effect despite everything you're seeing, you still feel compelled to take her to Dredgetown.
Okay. Seeing that the guards actually have her physically restrained.
Yeah, they're grabbing her, and you can hear Sarah, young Sarah, the older girl, telling them she's a witch. You should have seen what she's done to the. And she names the two soldiers, and she starts. You're kind of picking this up in a kind of a haze,
a fog,
as you're really facing some urges to want to go and pull her away from the guards and take her to Dredgetown.
I would think that Faustus would possibly begin to focus on Joy, perhaps.
Okay.
Being that she's the youngest.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
And having been subjected to the previous glamours of this witch, but knowing once again in the back of his mind that the children are of the utmost importance to him, perhaps he could focus on Joy and maybe wanting to ensure that she's of good health and her well-being is good. So maybe Faustus would use that and turn to her as if to verify that indeed she is there and of the flesh.
Right.
This time.
Okay. So
so he.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish.
No, he may hesitantly reach a hand towards her just to feel her, you know, and to say, "Child, is it you? Are you here? Are you well?"
She, of course, is crying. You can see she's sweaty, her hair matted. They generally come to you and groomed, well nourished, well groomed. She looks like she's been. You can see there's.
Just through some.
You can see there's mud on her face. You can see she's fallen to her knees. Her dress is dirty. You can see that she's got some grass in her hair. You notice Sarah disheveled, and of course you've seen young Connor's condition, and he's in the same. You're again a very clever man. You easily put together. They somehow ran from the scene and escaped into the woods, and this is evidence. So you've seen this before with young children as they've gone off into the woods and they've played and ruckused and. But they're harried. They didn't run to play; they ran to escape. And they. We're going to lower your difficulty. Your description of using joy as a motivation. Again, we're lowering your DV yet again for this check. We need to make a spirit check now at 6. We started at 10. You have slowly lowered it through some remarkable description, motivational description here.
6.
Okay, and you feel the kind of the suddenly the world comes back into clear focus as you now hear how loud everybody is and the ruckus and the screams of witch, and you can hear her screaming as they're hauling her away. And now the kids sound like they're so loud. You realize you were muffled and everything was foggy. And Joy, of course, falls into your arms as you grab her for confirmation that this is real, and it breaks this compulsion to want to rescue the witch and take her to Dredgetown as she had ordered. And now you're free of that, but you're hearing everything seems ungodly loud and bright, as you were clearly in a fog.
Faustus holds Joy, by the shoulders, and as this clarity overwhelms him, actually, from
Right.
how you're describing it to me, he also feels a rising anger coming over him,
Okay.
as if because he feels as though that he has failed in some way
Okay.
and put these children, and if not the town, in danger by bringing this witch here, and this kind of failure of duty, in a sense, also angers him. He's not only angry at the witch, but he's angry at himself for being duped by her or
Right.
ensorcered by her. And he turns and, as quickly as he could, I guess, stands, and if the guards haven't already taken her away, he will walk over to the witch and confront her.
Okay. This is fascinating because I actually rolled the RC. So I rolled the RSC again, and I rolled witch a second time. So the shit's about to get a little more intense with the witch. So
Okay.
she's not out of play.
Yeah, right.
She's just been reintroduced to play again. For those watching, you don't have to eliminate an RSC. It can now further complicate. So as you approach, again, I'm not telling you to ruin it for the guys, but to express how we can continue to use RSCs depending on how things are resolved. And this is not yet resolved as I've rolled it, and you're confronting her. So go, please, David. Tell us your confrontation with the witch.
Faustus, in his, feeling the anger swelling up inside of him, he strides over towards her, towards the woman, and reaches out with a hand, and I don't know, does she have, is she wearing like a cloak or robes?
Yeah, she would be in robes,
Okay.
pretty typical wool robes. It is fall, so they're they're long. They go almost completely to the ground, muddied around the edges. And she's might be double layered. You can't tell that she is cloaked, or she is robed. But in her long braided hair, again painted. You didn't have a chance to decipher any of the tattoos or painting because you were so quickly succumbed to her.
Well,
spell,
he would totally against his character, but just being, like I said, just full of almost of I guess I would call it a maddening rage. He reaches out and grabs her cloak and actually pulls either her or himself, closer, and face to face with her. The words kind of just like expelling from him, losing all sense of restraint and how would I say it? All of his, dignity and stoic gravitas just out the window.
Yeah.
Spittle flying from his lips.
Oh wow.
He screams, or actually, it would be a harsh whisper to her.
Right.
And Faustus says, "I hope they hang you and quarter you, for what you have put these children through, and myself. I know not what your ultimate goal was, but I can only imagine the pain and suffering that you intended to bring upon these people from the depths of that black heart of yours." And I will, after they've done with you, I will ask that I may recover your bones and
Shit.
ensure that you will never rest at peace.
Nice. Let's
And
make
then he releases her.
let's make a, and this is in this moment. This is when you realize how petite and small she is. Still around the same age you guesstimated, but now you realize what a small and petite little woman this is, especially held by the two soldiers who appear massive next to her. Let's make a prestige check as you curse her, so to speak.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't mean curse. I mean you curse her name.
Yeah.
Let's make it. And again, unfortunately, we're back up to a difficulty 10 because I rolled her, and we are now back into. She's back in full play.
That's what I get, a 10.
You did good. All right. So with that, she cowers and screams out as she flails against their arms, and they clearly have control of her. And she spews back at you some curse that falls. Fortunately, due to your successful roll, you are not fazed by this pathetic little woman and her spewing of curses. And before you can really respond again or say anything further, they have dragged her away, and the whole town that's there is following along, screaming witch, and they're dragging her not to the Dredgetown Manor, but they're taking her to the Stocks, where they are going to secure her there first. The kids collapse around you as you realize Connor is now standing shoulder to shoulder with you, and he says, and this is where you see this 16-year-old boy's battered face, bloody nose, cut lip, his eyes, clearly he has been with his, probably dragging his sisters to safety through the forest to get away from this woman. And he says, "You've cursed her bones. Will you really take her bones, Faustus?"
Before I answer, is it possible that as they drag her away, that I may retain some sort of effect of hers, as I have, such a grip?
Yeah, let's make a luck check to see if you pulled anything away.
Take it from a witch. That is not a good idea because that will tie you to her.
Let's see if you pull loose from her neck the
a piece of a necklace.
Well, no, she was wearing. Remember, I had originally described totem of Gaia. However,
there you go.
If you pull this free, you may find out that was an illusion. It is not a totem of Gaia.
5. That's my luck.
Yeah, no, you.
Luck, right?
So you pulled it free. This was not difficult. Okay. You had your hands on her, and when they pulled her away, you ended up standing there holding this. So you have this. You have this thing that was hanging around her neck, and as you examine it, it looks as if it is the shin bone or the thigh bone, maybe of a former child.
Oh
right?
My God!
That she had tied around her neck. Correct. Yes. So you're holding probably an old thigh bone or shin bone of a victim, a past victim.
Okay.
Take care, don't become what you despise.
That's messed up, Faustus. Like, why would you carry that around with you?
Okay.
And again, Connor looks at
grief.
this as you examine this in your hand, and Connor is asking you again, "Will you really take the bones?"
Yeah.
Yes, I will.
I look at this with as in my trembling grasp, and then I imagine that it may actually maybe have maybe scrawlings or something etched into it,
Yes.
I suddenly hear and comprehend Connor as he's talking to me.
Gotcha. Right.
And tearing my eyes away from this token.
Christ. I rolled witch again, gentlemen, just so you know. So I don't know if it's going to come back up right now, but damn, that's 3 times in a row I've rolled witch.
This is really funny because I actually never really knew that you could reuse seeds.
It's something I do.
That. But I also think it's so fitting because, like I said, if you take something from her, it's going to tie her
exactly.
to you.
I mean,
and
the reality is that
I
what
told
this
you not to
means
do it, man.
is they may not obviously execute her before there's more trouble. But I'm just sharing again with people that we don't put it in the book, but this is something I do. If I roll a number instead of trying to make more and more and more seeds and pile on seeds on the chart, unless you have literally remedied the witch completely, the witch can continue to be a problem. Yeah, and I just happen to roll 3 13s in this last session so far. I'm sorry, now, David.
She's number 13.
She's lucky number 13, man. Unbelievable.
Yikes!
Yeah. So let's keep going here real quick. David, you were saying before we took a moment to talk game.
Yes. Quickly, as I wrench my eyes away from the bone, I turn to Connor and, acknowledging his queries, I slide the token under my robes, and I say, "Come, lad, let's get you looked at, and we'll not worry about such things at this moment. You all are safe." And I will gather the children and take them perhaps somewhere to get them looked at.
And you realize as you're headed toward Dredgetown to the actual palace, or the manse behind the palisade walls, their home. Mm-hmm. You watch the girls as they take their brother each on either side in hand. Sarah takes Connor's right hand, and Joy takes his left hand, and they escort him just a few paces in front of you up toward their home, the palisade walls. And you can see the two sisters desperate to protect Connor, but also clearly with a sisterly affection toward their brother who must have saved their life.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I would think that I would initially just want to ensure that they are being looked after.
Sure.
And then only once I've done that, then my mind will return once again to the emissary.
Okay.
And the missive.
You got it. All right. We'll go back to our two in the darkness. You can imagine this particular scene as we fade over. This would have been happening in the evening prior to Faustus getting up and heading into town. So we have two separate timelines here. This is the night before Faustus would have gone to Dredgetown, right? And you find yourself engaged in an event with a creature. And where were we?
Okay,
you're doing a thing with a thing.
We're doing a thing with a thing.
You backslap the witch and for double damage, and I had pierced the side with the blade.
Yeah,
and he was requesting, right? I said, "Here's your blade."
Yeah.
Dug into him, and I'm trying, since he's got my legs off, I'm picking up my legs to push off of his body and try to kick away from him.
Okay.
And that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Okay, make that roll. This is everything that you describe is ultimately a combat check. How it goes determines what happens.
4.
Oh, okay. With that, as you drive your feet into him, he allows you to kick him, and then he casts you off with great strength, flinging you maybe 8 to 12 feet through the air into the trees, and you come down suffering an injury now. And this injury defined as possibly a dislocated right shoulder.
Oh yeah,
right.
I can do that.
And he stands over you.
I pull off of him.
Yeah, and he's again, you're now 10 or 12 feet from him, laying among the trees, wounded.
I hit the side of the tree. I hear my arm come out of socket and crack, and I roll over with a moan as the leaf that I try to pull up, and angry at this point, more so than ever, and just scream and look back over my shoulder at him where I just left, and the witch there.
Yeah.
I'm reaching behind myself to grab the blade.
And as you size him up,
even though it's difficult.
Right, as you're looking at him and size him up, as you're trying with the left hand to get loose the blade, you watch him thumb. He basically strokes the blade that you've left stuck in his ribs, with his long fingers and his long fingernails, he strokes it, looks up at you, and smiles and says, "Yes, that is my blade." And then he lets out a primordial scream of just ear piercing into the night sky. And I need you both to make an actual check here against this. This is a combat check. So let's make a check against mind for Saverick and spirit for Ursa, who's laying on the ground not far from him.
Yep, I got a 15.
Okay.
So actually, that would be a nat 12 because
okay.
as I have a +3. Yeah.
10.
Okay, so neither one of you suffer damage. However, you technically, Saverick did not win this, so he ultimately will suffer damage, right, Saverick? So you're at what? Injured? So now you're at dying, right? You're alive, but you're at dying.
That's what I was going to say.
So you feel you actually feel your eardrums burst, and you're having trouble now really hearing, and the pain is excruciating.
Oh yeah. As
Ursa,
I'm trying to pull the sword out whenever it happens, and I look over where she is, and then all of a sudden that scream comes out and pierces, and I hear my ears go, and then I'm screaming too at the same time, right?
Right.
So
and
as I do this, I get the sword halfway out, and it falls across
right, gotcha.
my chest, and I'm just kind of lolling there and drifting off.
Now, Ursa, you actually hit a critical success in this combat roll. So describe to me what that looks like as you can do critical wound upon this creature.
Okay, so this is what happens, right? As this scream comes out from this hell beast thing, right? I'm watching as Saverick goes down onto the ground, right? I think I almost echo the same scream as, or a similar scream, right, to this beast, and I lunge up to my feet, faster than might be normal for for me, and I would, start screaming in Danish, like, let the goddess Hela pull you back down into the frozen underworld, into Helheim, where you belong. And what I would like to do is, I don't know if it's going to do anything or if I need to make a second check, but the idea would be that all of a sudden the air would start getting really cold, almost as if it's going to snow, and then the earth underneath this thing starts to crack a little bit, and you can see it's like ice, basically.
Nice.
And the intention would be to curse it back down to hell.
Okay,
I can make a separate roll if
you've already on that particular combat check. You got a crit, and Dell suffered damage. So it screams out, but not the same kind of scream. This is a scream of pain.
Yeah.
As you see him pick his bare feet, and again he's naked, right? I mean, there's not a stitch on him. And he pulls one foot up as it's cold. He makes a fist best he can with these long nails, and looks at you as he kind of hisses in your direction, and again makes a quick move towards you. Again, unbelievably fast, Ursa. So let's make another roll here, and then Saverick, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm dying, frankly.
Right.
I'm in and out of consciousness as I try to get up, and like I said, the sword laid across me, and I'll try to roll up as I'm hearing this, but my eardrums have busted. Right. So I'm trying to orientate myself, and I look over and see them, and then see these crackling and this frost.
Right.
Tendrils reach up around the base of the legs of this thing as it's sitting there screaming, and she's over in the corner screaming. So I roll over on my all fours, and I'm starting to go forward like that and start to stand up.
Right.
And I'm trying to run because I feel my strength slipping.
Okay.
And while it's kind of, to me at least, stationary there, I'm running with the sword to try to drive it straight into it.
What did you roll, Ursa, in this as he moves towards you?
A 9.
Okay. So you feel it again. So fast, you feel it. Let's put it this way: you feel it before you realize it. He's literally standing over you with his 8 fingernails driven into your shoulders, and he lifts you from that, right, causing another wound, right? So you're now going to be injured. Is that right?
Yeah. So I've taken 3 wounds.
Yeah. He's you went from fatigued to battered to injured.
Yep.
And he's literally lifting you with his fingernails driven into both shoulders. He's lifting you up to basically pull you in close, bearing his fangs. And again, you can smell his rotting flesh. You can see literally into his face, his head. And go ahead, Saverick, make a combat roll as you are stalking toward him as he is preoccupied with the witch, with the vulva. The seer.
Listen. Okay.
Oh, God.
This is a crit fail.
Oh, my God. Are you shitting me? Lord. That's a
I was
second.
hoping to clean the thing's head off. But anyway.
That's a second crit fail. Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
And again, in the same combat, second crit fail. Let's take a look.
no.
Yeah. It actually isn't going to matter. Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. Because you're gonna die. I mean, you're gonna be killed. So it kind of doesn't matter what his crit fail is.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, crit. He's on dying. So any injury and dying is dead. So crit fail is a vicious death. So again, out of the corner of his eye, he would see you stumbling toward him. You think you're moving pretty quick? Maybe, I don't know. You think you've got the advantage?
Lifted up. Yeah.
Yeah, you think you got the advantage, and again, so swift as he deposits the girl now away, 2 or 3 feet away, kind of flicking her off. He moves quickly, and as you approach, has you by the throat, and has taken this sword, and has basically brought it from behind your head through your neck to the front, decapitating you. And pushing your body away as your head falls to the ground. He stands now holding and looking at this sword, Ursa.
So, okay. So is he being dragged basically down into hell? Still.
Well, I mean, his feet are greatly affected by this that you cast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because the idea was that the earth would start literally to separate as if ice were cracking, and he was
Gotcha.
falling.
So yeah, he might be dipping. Yes.
Okay. So I think at this point, then, I would. Oh God. Okay. Seeing Saverick having been decapitated, right, and this demon holding the sword, like that, I'm completely shook at this point because. Right. I don't know what to do, and so I think at this point I would say, oh gosh, okay. So I think at this point there would literally be tears running down my face, but they're like bloody because I would have been like, probably gotten like a head wound or something just through me, right, and so my eyes are all red and whatever. And I think as that happens, one of the tears, it kind of like makes this red streak down my cheek, and I lick the blood, and then I say something like, "Hela will not allow you to bring a sword of power into her realm." And then what I would do is I would just scream out at this thing with just this guttural force. But actually, no. I think what I would rather do instead is I would spit at it, and it would be this blood, little blood ball or whatever. And what I would like to do, if I can, maybe make a spirit roll, is to have it turn into this icy tendril, and
drag it
either
down,
pierce it. Knock the sword out of its hand.
Okay.
And
we'll make a roll. Let's see what you get. Again, it's it is compromised because it is being slowly pulled into the earth. Unfortunately, a critical fail for Saverick didn't save him at all. But let's make the roll. So
No,
its
that's
DV
fine.
is lower in its condition.
Yeah. Well, I got an 11.
Oh yeah, so that's success, and the sword it does ultimately let the sword go, as it an 11 is means that he suffers damage as he's now maybe waist deep into the earth, and he's not even aware of it yet, right? It's like he's so busy. It was admiring the sword, having just decapitated Saverick. He's not aware that he's now waist deep into the earth. And looking about. So now he's almost, because he's 7 feet tall, he's basically eye to eye with you, this creature. So I'll let you narrate the next move.
Okay. I think at this point then, so I kind of spit at it, and it was like almost like this icy, like ball that knocked the sword out of its hand. It's kind of stunned for a moment, and then I would say something like, "Lord, Lord Odin, please grant me the strength to send this foul creature back to where it belongs. Grant me your wisdom." And grant me your aid. And what I would do, let's see, I guess, what the roll is, and then if I can make a roll, is that?
Oh yes, no, yeah. I mean, you're now.
Right.
Understand, you don't have to embrace it. It's stuck in the ground, so you could.
No, I know.
But no, if you fail a combat check.
Yeah. Well, I got a 7.
Okay. Lucky for you, that's good enough, because he is compromised, as he is literally his difficulty has been reduced as he is stuck in the ground. Right. So narrate how you damage him.
Yeah. So what happens is all of a sudden I think that there's like this sort of loud. It's not even loud. It's more like you can feel it. It's like that percussion, like right, and then all of these ravens start flying out of the trees near us, and like into it, just pecking it, and it's like kind of, and it beats it down ever further. And as it is trying to fight off these ravens, right, there's it keeps getting pushed lower and lower and lower, and almost as if it's falling into this crack of ice, right? Like if it was on a pond or whatever. And then I think, as the did that defeat it officially, or is it still?
No, you can't see for the ravens as they are swarming it.
Okay.
It lashes out at you with its left hand. From the ravens, you see a blur as it lashes out. Let's make a combat check here.
All right, and am I rolling body?
Combat check, yeah, because it's lashing out at you. So whatever your combat is, body. Against his difficulty now. His difficulty at this stage, as he's swarmed with ravens and now about chest deep, right? Maybe. You can't see him. You know how deep he is. Okay, so he ultimately cuts you again with his... but is then gone as the ravens appear now to swarm away and off into the trees. So you would be in the dying condition. You're not dead, but you'd be in the dying condition. It just means you must get complete rest and healing to recover to injured, right? But you find yourself standing there staring at the ground. An ice patch.
Well, I think maybe
no
just like a
evidence that he was
tiny
there.
little,
Right.
Yeah, just like this tiny little, like maybe almost like a frozen puddle or something.
And he's apparently gone. And you see, of course, beside it, Saverick's head staring up at you. Right,
Yeah.
his body
And then the
his
sword is a
body
little
had been
further
pushed
down.
away,
Yeah.
maybe 8 to 12 feet away, off into the trees, and the sword lay there on the ground.
Yep. So I think maybe as I am looking at Saverick's head, it would like, at least this is what I see, right? It would turn around and look at me, but it's got only one eye. It's got like a patch over it. It's only one eye, right? And this long hair. and I would, be kind of like stumbling towards it, right? Because I'm 2 feet from death or whatever, right? And I would say, Lord Odin, why did you not show me, or why did you let me choose this man? Why did you not show me his fate? And then I would make it to the head, and I would pick it up. And I think, like God of War style, I'm going to like put it on like with its hair,
shit.
like tie it or something to my belt. And then I would also, I think, pick up the sword. And I start to think like maybe it wasn't the man who wielded the sword that was my destiny, but the sword itself, and that for some reason I am bound to this now. And so I pick it up, but it's really heavy.
Right.
And I'll look around and I will beseech, I forgot who the nature god. I guess I'll just do Freya or whatever.
Sure.
Pray out to Freya, please help me find a refuge in this heathen land, and where I can rest and continue to do the bidding of the gods.
So before we go back over to Faustus, let's make a luck check for you, sir, as you pray to Freya to guide you toward a shelter or something.
Okay. Could I do spirit? Or
absolutely. If it's a prayer, spirit's better. Spirit's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. 7 in that case.
Okay. And somehow stumbling, half aware as you are battered and beaten and dying, ultimately dragging this sword, you step into a clearing and you see a small hovel, and you see smoke coming from the chimney. And you can hear people inside. You can see the flicker of candlelight through the shutters. And you topple and maybe pass out here. Maybe yell, giving out a little scream and a hoof before you pass out as you see this refuge. And you pass out. And we'll fade over to Faustus. Faustus the Connor, you have delivered Connor and the girls into the safe hands of their mother, Lady Washburn, and she has taken them and is hearing their tales. You watch her take the kids away for treatment, and they're all of them at once are telling the horrible tale of what happened to the guards. And I won't go into the details because you would not want these poor children to live with these visions of what they are now going to live with for who knows the rest of their lives maybe. And before you can make your mind up, you feel a hand on your shoulder, and as you turn, you see young Wesweld, who is oddly enough, you haven't seen him for 2 weeks. He stands before you now, freshly 19 years old, and he looks much haggard under the stress of doing his father's job for the last 2 weeks. And he smiles gently, and he says, Faustus, you came. Come, let us retreat to my quarters, and we will have food and talk. And so he, with hand on your shoulder, he walks with you, and you're somewhat, maybe, I don't know, you might not be, surprised that he's he seems a little bit taller, maybe a little bit more adult. Maybe you're seeing him in a different light.
Okay.
Don't know.
Okay. All right. I will. Still hear me? Good?
Yes, sir. Yes. Go.
Okay. I will acknowledge this and follow his lead. And as we walk to the chamber, I will ask him. I will say, I'll say, what do you, what are your thoughts about the pagan woman?
He kind of looks at you quizzically. Do you mean the witch that you brought back to us, Faustus? And remember, I must reward you for bringing in the scoundrel who clearly tried to kill my siblings and my guards, who did kill my guards. As a matter of fact, you see him looking around as if he's trying to find some way to pay you for this for this capture. You never failed to amaze me, Faustus, at your competence, and this is why I need your counsel at this point. And he does produce basically a small ring. He basically wrenches a ring off his small finger, and and reaches out and gives this to you. And he says, "I do not know where I got this, but this isn't due payment for all of your service to us for bringing this witch in. Is there something in particular you wanted to tell me about the pagan woman?"
Faustus bristles at the note that he brought the woman to them, just as a reminder of his weakness, basically.
Gotcha.
He'll hesitate for a moment, and then he'll say, "Have you seen many of her kind as of late?"
Wesweld looks surprised. "No, Faustus, I have, in all of my days, and there are not many of them, I have only heard tales of these. My father's told tales. I've listened to the soldiers tell tales, but most of it is when they are drunk and infirm of mind, and But this may be the first actual witch I have seen or know to be true. Did you see it? Did you see the witch perform actual curses and did you see it actually perform supernatural acts, Faustus? I am fascinated."
Perhaps not of his own accord. Faustus will kind of reach into his robes and feel the bone, the token that is still there.
Okay.
And he will.
And you can you can feel the carvings and the etchings on it as you feel it.
Whether it's well, he'll assume it's either a trick on his mind or just memories coming back to him. But as his fingers trace over the etchings, he'll hear the witch's words, again in his mind.
Let's make a spirit check, my friend, with that.
A who check? I'm sorry.
A spirit check. Remember, the witch is still
check?
alive and well, as I've rolled that 13 a third time. So now that you mumble and draw back thoughts and things, you're now going to be faced with a spirit check. As the witch now working on you with both the bone, the bone and you're reincanting her own words.
Okay, there's a 12. Finally.
You feel her. You feel the energy. You might snap your hand away from the bone in your and you feel her whisper to you. It is the boy that I want, Faustus. You have.
Oh wow!
You have arrived upon your goal, but you're able to shake free any control or commands she has. As a matter of fact, Faustus, with a critical success, you might well be able to send her a message back.
Oh, okay. Faustus will respond. If you ever wish to see the light of day again, you will tell me your secrets.
Nice. Okay, let's make a luck check first.
The luck check? Okay.
A luck check. This is simple. This is a 5. You just need a 5 or better.
7.
Okay, you realize that you were almost said that out loud in front of Wesweld, who has no idea this is happening in your mind, but you catch yourself as you think this to her. And then a mind check for me. This one is a little. This is against her actual DV of 10s. You'll need to make a mind check.
Gosh. Okay. No, 4.
You hear as it fades away a soft laugh at you as you demand her secrets. And it fades out of your mind a soft and gentle laugh as she cuts off communication.
Shaking his head and bringing
Faustus,
himself back
are you
to
okay? You appear to be
present.
preoccupied. Faustus, says Wesweld.
He says, "No, no, Lord, Your Lordship. Just mental fatigue from the goings on of the day. Quite stressful and strange.
Oh, forgive me.
And,
You are right. Let us. And he actually stands and waits on you. He pours you some ale or some wine, and slides it to you. And he tears off a hunk of bread and cheese and brings it to you on a wooden plate. And he says, "Forgive me, Faustus. You have had a great day as you have escorted my siblings home. You have brought a witch to us. I am very sorry to have not thought of your condition, as you are a mature man, are you not?" And he kind of gives you a wink and a smile as he teases you about your age.
I will I'll give him a slight smile back and nod to him in thanks and accept the food. And I say I only ask that perhaps you are patient with your dealings with the pagan, or having been in her presence for a little bit on the way here. I would really like to question her and find out exactly what her intent was.
Wesweld sits down across from you now that he's waited on you. And you see in his face now much... You recognize now, as when you first saw him, he looked haggard and older, but now you realize his innocence. You see in his face that he had no idea that it would have been his responsibility to deal with the witch at all. You can pick it up out on the countenance on his face that he's somewhat, and you see him frown, bite his lip, and he says, "Oh yes, I am the one to deal with the witch. Am I not? Oh, Faustus, I am so overwhelmed with the duties of my father's seat. You do not know. I will ask you to advise me. But yes, if you want to question the witch, if you want authority over the witch, I will certainly grant it to you."
I say, I nod and I say, as I've told you before, the duties of your station are akin to the seasonings of, or are akin to the seasons passing. The more you weather, the tougher and stronger you will ultimately become. Just remember that.
He nods, and you can see again in his countenance, he's thoughtful. You've seen him work the troubles you've given him. You've seen him work out the puzzles, the math equations, the Latin phrases. You've watched him, furrowed-browed, work over the things you've taught him. The many chess matches you've faced him.
That's what I was gonna say. I'll reach into a fold of my robes and I will take his hand and I will put a bishop piece into his hand. Yeah.
And you see him squeeze it tightly, and he nods and he says, "Thank you, Faustus. You are exactly what I needed. I am so grateful you've come. It will be a busy few days, possibly weeks." And you see him now as his eyes well, and "I fear my father is dying. This may be permanent." And then he pauses as you both are kind of shook out of this moment when you hear the mumbling below. in the streets, in the Dredgetown Palisade courtyard. You hear people talking and mumbling, and you realize it's grown somewhat dark. It's only about noonday, and suddenly it's dark. You both stand. Well, maybe you don't, but he stands and he heads over to the shuttered windows and pushes them open. And you see now dense fog, great dense fog. And he looks back towards you and says, "I have never seen such a thing, Faustus. Come, look." And as you approach to look out the window, it is indeed, you cannot see the people below. You cannot see far beyond the tips of your fingers as an unnatural dense fog falls upon Dredgetown. And we will fade to black there and end the session.
Hey, excellent.
Awesome.
Cool. That was fun. Damn. So my last roll was unnatural fog. That was my last roll. Which would increase difficulty. So like if you were in a fight or you were in the woods searching, tracking, that fog would just push the difficulty off the charts, right?
Yeah.
So I rolled, this is crazy, I rolled Discovery was my first roll. While you two were meeting in the woods, Discovery, I just made it the altar with the blade and the bones. But my next roll was a 4, Vampire. That I tied to the blade. That I tied to the blade that you took. And I rolled these upon, I rolled, whatever I rolled is what you face. So I rolled Witch with you, sir, David. And then I rolled, again, Discovery with you two starting. Rolled Witch with David, and then we came back. You guys dealt with the Discovery. You found the altar. Dell took the blade. I described the remnants of bones. And then I made the Vampire roll for you guys. And I said, well, I'll tie the Vampire to the blade. And that's why I made the luck check. Yeah. Is it dark? Because I was like, we hadn't defined if it was dark. So I thought we need to make a luck check to see if it's nightfall. And then you guys made it. And I said, okay, it's going to be getting dark because I'd rolled the Vampire. I was like, okay, it's coming. But is it dark, right? And so I gave your luck check bought you 20 minutes, basically, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that's how that went. And then I rolled Witch again with David, and then Witch again with David.
Yep.
And then the last roll of the session was Fog. Unnatural fog. And that's it. And I changed.
Restaurant,
when you made your fortune telling check at the beginning of the session, when you met, I rolled a 14, and that replaced 14 on my chart. So I had bridge on my chart. And literally bridge. I don't know. Again, and by the way, for those that don't know, I don't use phrases. I use one word. So mine are super vague. It's dragon, plague, Connor, vampire, mort, and I can do whatever I want with this.
You do a lot more with it,
And so anyway, bridge I crossed off. So in a way, it's good because I thought when I put bridge on there, I thought it's gonna be interesting. What would I do with that? The irony is when I rolled it to scratch it out and put your fortune telling in it, I went, thank God, because bridge sucks. So I literally saw bridge and I said, shit, what was I thinking? I scratched off bridge. Anyway, and the problem is you didn't name who might come back to haunt Savrit, who might come upon Savrit.
Well, yeah, and because I felt weird because I was like, oh God, I'm still fighting against that mentality of like, well, this is the GM story, and I'm like, nope,
no,
it's not.
Nope.
But I was like, I don't know if I should. So
because you could have literally named someone with his past, and because you succeeded the role. Dell would have to acknowledge, oh my God, it is someone from my past. How do you know that name? I mean, Dell would be forced to say, how do you know that name, right? Kind of thing. I mean, he doesn't have to respond that way, but it would become real. And then I put it on here in 14, so it could literally show up. The thing you predicted could show up in the session as a foretold fortune, right? Yeah, that was fun, man. That was great fun. How did you like the beginning? I felt the beginning was a little tricky. It didn't start probably as smoothly as I thought it should. No? How did you guys feel about it?
Really?
Did it feel good?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
No, it felt good because if he's playing a sycophant that's trying to follow me, and I've been skirting because of my situation. I've already said that Savrit does not like celebrity.
Yeah.
And I can just see that in 14 months he's going to be held as this net mythic, like it's some cryptic
Right.
You know, some cryptid or something that they gotta find. So when Sam's saying she's following me and has been, I'm a hunter. I'm gonna have some inkling of it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and be
Yes,
like,
of course.
Shoulder. So whenever it happened, but see, even that, like I love, like when you pin yourself to the thing. I said your own narrative.
Yeah.
You can say stuff, but it works to your detriment at different times because
Sure.
we're all working here
Yeah.
as a narrative group. So whenever that happened, I'm sitting there going like, look, especially with the bones confirming it, I'm like, look, these are stragglers, days that didn't leave, that have been held up in these woods, and you're trying to entrap me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm thinking like, look, you know, I got your bitch pinned to this thing. You want to come out and get her? I'm gonna take you out. Yeah, I'll split her in two. I'm trying to use you as bait. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, but to me, I knew that you can't. I can't just if we're working together as a group. But it had you have to go through that hard, you know, that hard part to get to an understanding. And that's. I mean, a lot of it took me more so than Sam had to take a backseat initially and just kind of be receptive to it because I'm the one you're trying to get through to.
Right.
And have to express myself more. So when I did that,
and I'm not involved. I mean, this is the thing about our game. I'm literally not involved. You two are engaged in the. You guys are playing and involved in the narrative and the. I'm only going to show up when there's something that requires a roll, or when I roll something that I need to introduce. So in that situation, you guys are literally playing.
I'm playing logically because when I picked her up, I'm like, maybe I can. I'm still working for.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even relevant when you guys are doing your thing.
I still need to discern where, if I can interrogate you, where they might be hiding, if there's an encampment.
Right.
If you're the last one.
Yeah, I mean, Saverick was
road.
still under the assumption you were there with somebody, which is cool.
Right. Well, and you know, the way I kind of looked at it was, so when I said I got pinned to the tree, it was because in theory, I was like, all right, well then Saverick's going to come over.
Right.
Well, yes, that, but also that you would have to then come over, which meant that we could have a conversation. But also, I was thinking like, well, this makes sense. Like, I need to be patient because I wouldn't expect him to just immediately be like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" And you know, like, "Oh, I remember you. You're cool."
Right. Well, and that was the other thing. I thought I'm going to make a check. So I wanted to make sure Saverick understood he would have at least recognized you from the.
Right.
Well, that's what I like when you do it. You show don't tell. Like when I'm picking up her horns and toppling it off her head.
Yeah.
I'm analyzing her. Like, I've seen you before.
Yeah.
And I'm interested too because that was really kind of enthralling. It was totally unexpected for that to come out, but it made sense about the blade.
Yeah.
You want the blade? But my reactions to Saverick wasn't necessarily overly tactful.
No, right.
Because I tried to paint a picture of he had gotten kind of embittered and a little bit.
Yeah, you were running from your celebrity. I can imagine. Yeah.
And maybe and just. Yeah, a little bit of a death wish, as if he didn't already have one in the first place. You know what I mean? But I was just tired.
Yeah, right.
So I thought for sure when he picked you up and I was going to go lob off his head, I didn't think I was going to roll a crit one. You know what I mean? I might have slipped in the mud, fell down and slipped in front of him and passed out before then.
That's the danger of Dark Age of Man. Everybody in the game has only got so many wounds before they're dying. Is the sense that hey, one more and you're done. But what's cool about it is a warrior has a higher body combat rating, so that your strength comes from your ability to either cast whatever. But every human being suffers the same set of wounds, which makes us all vulnerable. Yet a warrior will avoid like Jose's warrior in their session. Could avoid actual damage by just being a more competent warrior, right?
Right, yeah. You could parry a blow instead of taking the blow, but the blow is going to kill you.
And the great thing about the combat is if you narrate yourself into the conflict, you can either suffer the failure or the success, or as I can turn that, when you narrate yourself into the vampires, by addressing the vampire, when he failed that combat check, I can turn that upon you. And now we have this narrative combat in which it's completely It's completely.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
if you're going to engage in that sense anyway, right? And of course,
Right.
I can actually turn the vampire on you, and then we make a combat
Yeah.
check to see if I succeed or you succeed. But
What about Sam's impressions? Like, because you came in really at an odd thing that you was somebody that was following me.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we get a chance to see how that dynamic might develop and work, which I knew was going to be a little bit. I love testing this game in various ways,
Yeah.
like even the Seer.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jorian played that before, but now you're playing
Yeah.
it. And knowing that the game's malleable and can be done in that way. I want your take
Yeah.
on it. Also, David, it's very interesting to you that you was playing a mental game.
Yeah.
You know, a mental game of chess or a tactical game with a witch that was controlling
God,
things,
that
and you
was
was trying to interface
So
with,
good.
with the people
Yeah.
too, and then care for
Yeah.
the children. So that was like,
Yeah.
in and of itself, you was having your own freaking.
Yeah.
Battle. Yeah, I was having a
Yeah.
battle. Yeah.
I know my mind was like, what the heck is happening right now? Because I was like, oh no, there's
Witch.
another witch. Yeah, and then I was like, oh, and it's an Irish witch, which like I've played
I know.
Overwatch 2 enough. I know, no, you don't want to mess with the Irish witch. She is scary. But anyway, yeah,
He
that
said,
was
I'm
nuts.
getting her,
That was
her
really good.
ball and her necklace, and you're like, no, and I'm sitting there going, no.
No,
Hey,
I know. I was like, no, this guy, no, but
Nah,
it
I
made
gotta
so much
dive in.
sense because he was so
Yeah.
logical that he was like,
Yeah,
"There's
but-
no this is superstition."
But see, you know your character, and you're in the moment. What
Yeah.
would they do?
But that's what I love about
They're
David's
feeling.
description, though. He described how out
Right.
of anger he took it all, right? I mean, he wasn't thinking
Yeah.
logically at that point. He was so full of emotion that he, tore this from her neck. And so
Oh
that's
my
the other
God.
thing. He wasn't
That was
even
so
thinking, do I
crazy.
want to take this from a witch? I mean, it was brilliant.
right, right,
And
right.
again,
Yeah.
one of the
And I was
examples
like-
of the DV, as David narrates
Yeah.
legitimate cause for why he would fight the witch because he doesn't buy into magic. Dude, I'm lowering the DV for that. He's
Yeah.
telling me his character this is not going to be as easy for this
Right.
witch with me. Now he still failed the role,
Yeah, his
but
mind
I
is
lowered the
hard
DV. And
to-
then when he
yeah.
as he narrates how the girl gives him a bonus, so to speak. I'm lowering that DV, right? When he says, I'm going to use joy to help break this spell. It's brilliant. And this is how the game is meant to work, right? DV is the easiest thing for me as GM to handle. And then
Right,
you
yeah.
guys are doing your thing, and the DV can go up or down based on that. And it's so
Yeah.
flexible. It's unbelievable. And I don't have to say, well, let's see, David, is that true? Or no, David is telling me this is what I'm doing. And I'm like, okay, I can make it an easier roll, or I can just lower her DV. Depends on
Yeah,
what
yeah.
situation
Pull out
we're
the
in.
bishop and
I
gave him the
honestly-
bishop.
Yeah.
Put the onus on you, you know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I just go.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
And you interpret it as, hey, okay, so this changes the circumstances,
Right,
or this
right.
or the other. And that's kind of, I just go,
Yeah.
and see what
Yeah.
what happens, you know.
Well, and this is what I do like about Dark Age of Man.
That
Is
to me
you
is
do
liberating.
you do not have to play a warrior or a to have success. You can
Right.
play a character that's a merchant and what you encounter and how you narrate your
Yep.
conflicts. And again, you could still be accosted by a bandit, and you're going to be dealing with potential threats that way. But
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
how you respond to a bandit as a character might end the thing by saying, "Hey, whoa," like Caesar did to the pirates, and people don't know, a lot of people who know history.
Yeah.
Caesar was captured by pirates at 16, and he was held, and he convinced the pirates. He said, "Listen, let me go home, and I'll bring you back a shit ton of money. You don't know who I am," and they did. They let him go
I
home.
was thinking Planet of the Apes or something.
Yeah,
right
and
off.
Caesar goes back. He stands in front of the Senate and he says, "Listen, I know where the pirates are at. Give me a fleet, and I'll go get the sons of bitches." At 18, this was Caesar at 18, right?
Yeah.
16 years old. And Pompey the Great said, "Fuck off, I'm the man." And he went and eradicated all the pirates. And of course, Caesar was left. But the point is, you could use ransom. Hey, whoa, you don't know who I am. I'm worth a lot more than you guys. So not everything has to be a fight. Now this vampire in particular, it's not going to be a matter of conversation. It's not going to be when I rolled vampire and you took that blade off the discovery.
No.
So that's the thing. Two seeds combined together to make total narrative sense. Well, what the
You
hell?
never know, though.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
never know.
Well, that's true. You never know.
Possible.
It depends on the
Never know.
kind of vampire, right? I mean, if this is Dracula in a castle, you might talk to him, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But I
Well,
created a
like
more
in the Witcher books,
primal.
they,
right. I created a
vampires like
more
to talk,
primal.
so-
Well, that's the thing
Vampire.
I like.
Yeah.
You don't know.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
You
it. Yeah,
don't
we're
know what
naive.
you're
We
doing.
don't know. That's
Yeah,
exactly
we
right.
don't
Oh,
know.
So when I rolled vampire, I
was
said,
scary.
"Oh shit!"
I did not. Yeah.
You know, you might put your finger up and your head's gone, but you don't know.
What's great is you stay, at least to me, when I'm in character,
Yeah.
and I think everybody at the table knows the situation and knows how maybe dire it is. Like when I was pulling myself off, I knew, well, I'm dying. That means I've got so much time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to run. He's got to lift it up. I want to go and then just lob his head off while he's, doing that.
Yeah.
And then
And the irony is, you could have, had you rolled a critical. He only had 3 points left. You very well could have. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But
you
the thing
critical
is,
failed.
we all know. Yeah, but we don't look. We don't look at the mechanisms.
No.
We judge the things by the situation
Yeah.
as a character would in that time, and
Yeah.
then you base what you would do. The same way David's basing his reaction off of what's going on. He can stay in the character mindset and say, "This is how." Aside from damn everything else. Because that's what I don't sit there going, okay, how many points do I have left? I need to chat this, or it's not dictating my my actions. The situation is dictating my actions and how my character's feeling at that moment. So then it's liberating. I can play that way.
Yes.
Anyway.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely.
I was, God, when you got a critical failure and me, the body -1, which gets tossed for 2 wounds, I was like, shit, because I don't know, like mechanically, does that mean if I'm a -1, does that mean that I would normally start at the fatigued condition anyway?
No. Conditions are,
okay.
You can only suffer
That's
a condition
separate.
if you suffer
Okay.
something. Her -1 body just means she's feeble. She's
right. Which is why I was like, I couldn't get the arrow out of the tree.
But you definitely wouldn't want to be in a physical confrontation with a -1 body, unless you had a magic sword or something that gives you a +2 or something, right?
Well, I thought we had a magic sword, but anyway, but guy wouldn't use it. But it was really funny because to me, I was like, that was so intense. Like because I was like you were saying, Del, that you're so immersed in your character, and I was just like, shit, I'm like desperately trying to do whatever I can to stop you from dying, because in my mind, I'm like, we're tied together. And then but it was crazy because and it was really cool because at the end you finally started, to pull out the blade, and I was like, yes. And then,
too late. Too late.
But at the same time, it was so cool that I could effectively have a combat scene in which I basically described the ground opening up and getting pulled into the Viking hell, into that cold whatever, and beseeching the hell goddess to help me.
And he suffered the damage,
icy blood.
He suffers the damage, and he's ultimately stuck there, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
But to continue to suffer damage, you would have to continue to narrate how it's affecting. Yeah. But you don't have to narrate and cast another spell. You could literally narrate, and the world the continues to suck him down, and then you make another roll. If you fail, I can describe how inexplicably, to your horror, he steps a foot out of it, right? As he's working his way out of the fucking hole, the ground, right?
Yeah.
And see, we have complete flexibility there, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and that's why I liked it. I really liked the idea of him being pulled down, and then Savrik just not being able to be effective, and then me having a last ditch effort, trying to use blood magic on it, and basically, and then in the end, finally, it was defeated, but
and this is the danger of
Savrik's head.
And that's the danger of the RSC. I mean, and it's supposed to be, right? The lower the numbers to the edges, the more dangerous or the more world affecting. So vampire, it's pretty intense, and it's my job to now put that in front of the group, and it just turns out maybe you two weren't ideally built for this thing, right? Especially the way the dice fell. But,
I failed every one of them.
Yeah, it has to. It has to present itself as that's what the world's telling me, right? Now I just said, hey, how can I present it? I just tied it to the first.
You know what's amazing about it? We're not doing the writer's room where we're agreeing that something would be, but we still get to narratively affect things in a cool way.
Right.
You as your character, Sam, can go, okay, this is what I'm doing. You have total liberty, especially with
Yeah.
magic, to say, this is what I'm attempting. And then Jason sets the PV for it. And when he's
Yeah.
being drugged down, and then you said all these crows are
Right.
just flying out of
Yeah.
there, everybody goes, oh, geez. And that's what you're attempting to do with the successful roll.
Well, you
know,
are
when
doing
get
it.
liberty
You
to
are
say
doing
that.
it. We're not saying you're not. We're
Yeah.
rolling to see if it affects play one way or another.
Exactly.
So when he says,
Yeah,
I
right.
send ravens upon it, now we roll to see, do you damage it, or do I damage you, or do I pull the creature free,
right.
or do I have the creature,
Yeah.
waylay all these fucking ravens, or something just for effect. So
It was
not every
funny because-
failed roll has to be damaged against you either.
Right.
I can change the narrative
Right.
space. All of a sudden, you see the Raven squaw and fly away, and he's not there, and you realize
Yeah.
he's leapt out like fucking Darth Vader, and he's
Yeah.
he's leapt out of the hole,
Right.
and he's somewhere else because you failed the roll, right?
Yeah.
But instead, I
What's
had
funny
him. I
about
had him
that,
one
yeah.
final reach out at you. So this is
Actually,
what
I
makes
actually
it.
wanted to roll, I wanted to roll before I described it on that one, because what I was thinking in my head was, who am I going to call on for help, right? Because to me, I was thinking about this Raven scene, but I was like, if I failed the roll, what I was going to do in that case was I was going to probably call on Hela again to say suck him down, bring him down, and or I might beseech Odin, but
Sure. But she,
it
and
doesn't
again,
happen.
here's the
But
great
yeah,
thing.
It was interesting.
You don't even
Yeah.
have to call on her again. You can just
Right.
narrate how the
Oh, yeah.
hole continues to suck him down, and then we make a roll. And if you succeed,
Right,
he takes
that's true,
damage as
yeah.
he goes down. If you fail, I can say he sticks his hands on the ground and pushes himself up. And you're
Right,
watching in horror as this fucking thing's actually getting itself out of the hole,
Yeah.
right? So
It's like,
you don't have to keep casting it. You can just keep narrating how it's affecting it, right?
A moment
yeah.
of anxiety for me, aside from us having to suffer that, was when David had to realize when the witch was in his head that she had led him right to her ultimate prey.
Yes.
And he's standing there. So I'm wondering about, oh, Jesus, she's going to take over him and get him to,
I was
up it.
like, oh no.
And I'm like, he ends up killing, the prince or something.
Right.
I was having all those thoughts.
And in that situation, and this is also for those who are listening in a way, because you're naive, and so I roll witch, and I roll it on David's turn. I say, okay, I'm going to put this witch in front of him. Well, what I do know is that every day they bring the children to David for counseling. So I'm not inventing anything new. I'm saying, okay, I'm going to use what we already agreed exists in the world. It's the truth, but it's going to be an illusion. There's the witch. Meanwhile, well, how would she know to create this illusion? Well, she's somewhere along the line met these people. We already agreed travel here every day, and there's got to be some fallout.
It just makes sense. Yeah.
Right. Now, then why would I say, what was the motive? And then I can hear people now, what was the witch's motive? I don't like this because I got to know the witch's motives. You know what? I know the witch's motives. You know what her motives are?
Wants to eat the children.
She's
We're
going,
like always
she's
is.
going, well, and no, I'm thinking David is going to Dredgetown.
Yeah.
So those are his motives. Well, she has the same motives as him. Now we just don't know why she wants him to take her to Dredgetown.
Right.
And we're going to find that out as we play because I don't know. But since David is already going there, that can be the exact same thing she wants, but for a different reason. And we won't worry about that reason until we resolve. We may never resolve it until. And then when you made the luck check when you came into town, is there are people there? And I knew the kids. I said, well, I'd made it my mind up upon your failed check that there's going to be somebody when you failed the. Illusion check, to recognize the illusion, that some of these will have had to die, and the children, I won't jeopardize the children for this failed roll. I would have had a luck check later if you were to look for the kids. Well, let's look and make a luck check to see if any of the kids are dead. The point is, the luck check then is like, okay, this is where I can bring the kids back into play. So there's not a loose end. Where are the kids at? I can bring the kids back into play as coming into the village screaming witch, witch, witch. And so we can tie up a loose end without me having to write anything if I'm just aware that, well, the kids would have run off into the woods when she was waylaying the soldiers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So, and it oddly enough, it'll come to you as you play. It'll actually, and you don't have to make sense of it. you can make sense later, but
It makes sense of itself in a respect.
and the reason I don't have to make sense of it is it's just a witch, and here you're dealing with it, David, and let David make sense of the witch.
Well,
Exactly.
and there's no way that Faustus is gonna let her get executed without seeing what's going on with her.
Yep.
And there's no way that David is not going to let Faustus do that because David wants to find out what's going on.
That's right. So, and this is the amazing thing. I don't necessarily have to know, but as we play and as dialogue occurs or as things are transpiring in a die roll, the witch motives can be found or may not be. If he continues to fail spirit checks against the witch, he ain't going to get what he wants. So I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was feeling for Faustus though, because I mean, his children that he was was in jeopardy. The prince that he saw, you know what I mean, that he's trained. There was a little bit of a tender moment there when he sees the prince with the weight of command, and yet he's sitting there and he's having a battle with this witch that's in his mind. That he knows that she's got something. You've led me right to the boy. And so is he her instrument? And not that we know this at all, but that's the fear of the colonel that kind of came up. I'm like, what is David feeling with all this? It's like, see, that's the point of role playing in Dark Age of Man to me is when you get in those moments. That means something.
And I'm using, when I say we're naive, we're not totally naive. I have a setup. I have my inciting incident. I have my major and minor dilemma, which you guys aren't aware of, and more importantly, I have context. Context is Wesweld, based on the setup, is he's having to do his dad's job as his father's ill. So if the witch is motivated to come here at all, it has to be about Wesweld because Wesweld somehow is the main NPC. He's the guy that's got a problem, a dilemma. Well, why wouldn't the witch also play into that dilemma, right?
Right, yeah.
So I don't have to have a reason right now why she's interested in the boy. Just that Wesweld is the main NPC here. He's the main thing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think it's that whole, it goes really back to that traditional style of play, and when you are thinking of a game that is intended to span sessions, right? The idea is, well, you want to know the GM anyway, right?
Well, it's a story. I mean, the GM has to come up with the conflict points, the turning points, the motivations. I mean, I know a lot of guys who just they really would not like doing this as a GM because they don't like not knowing the reasons for things. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Because the reality is there are GMs that, and I've had this conversation with Louis years ago when he said I couldn't do that. I couldn't do certain things you do because I have to, if I introduce bread to the world, I have to know how I have to actually have thought out how the bread is made in the world.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, wow, that to me would be crippling if I had to worry about if I introduce bread to the world, I would have to be able to explain to the player who says, where can I get this bread? Well, how is bread made in the world? Yeah, correct. But it was really important to Louis, that he knew if he was going to talk about coinage, he wanted to know where coinage came from in the world. And it meant a lot to him to make sense of it. So being a improvisational GM, I can get why that is not going to work for many guys, right? It just doesn't, And
and what's really interesting, I think, is that we've talked about this a lot, I think, but like I think the right type of person to run this game is, I personally believe, those that have had experience running games of any sort,
right? Whether it's almost easier if you don't have a lot.
Except that. Even if you've only ever run D&D, but you've run it a lot, if you and you genuinely want to try this style, to me the big thing is you have to be willing to kind of look at it as, what we're doing is we are experiencing what's happening in the world right now.
Yes, live.
And and that's informed by what's happened in the past, but we don't necessarily have a plan for what's going to happen in the future, because as soon as you do that, you've gone back onto the rails. And And
And I
think
can't.
in a
In this,
traditional
we
system,
can't, because I'm going to be rolling
right.
another RSC at some point. Whether I wait,
Right.
and I literally was going to wait until you guys resolve something. I wasn't going to roll another one until you
Mm-hmm.
So as you guys discovered the discovery, which I just said, okay, it's it's an altar in the woods with a blade on it, right? And there's bones around.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm just gonna pull the blade out.
It doesn't matter. But then I roll vampires. Like, oh shit, I'll tie this to that thing. So, but you don't have to. I literally could have rolled every time I felt the need. Let's roll something else and keep throwing stuff at you.
Yeah.
But it was. Let's put it this way. We had plenty to do. I didn't feel compelled to introduce new.
Yeah.
Right? And matter of fact, to be honest, I wasn't going to, because these were tough. Witch was number 13. That's a pretty stout difficulty. And then, of course, the vampire at 4. So I wasn't going to introduce more shit. You guys were dealing with some pretty tough.
Yeah.
I mean, the witch is a DV of a 10, or 11. I think the witch is a DV of 10. So I don't need to introduce another conflict. David's got his hands full.
Yeah.
Right? You had your hands full with the
really,
witch,
yeah.
right? Yeah. And you guys certainly had your hands full with the vampire, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
so-
was rough.
Yeah, it's
I'm wondering if you know what, Yersa should send her resume to that witch and see if like she can be her apprentice or something, because maybe she knows necromancy and she can bring Savric.
Savric. Now, wait a second. Let's talk
I
about
was thinking
that.
the perfect.
Let's talk about that. You certainly could have narrated how you wanted to take his head and his body and attempt to, reanimate him.
I'm not sure yet. I was thinking about exactly.
And the
that's why
reality
I said I took
is,
the head, because I'm not
the
done with
reality
it.
is, if you do successfully reanimate him, right? I mean, so this is my point. It's your character. It's your world. It's your moment. So it's not about my NPCs. Weswell is a reflection of he is potentially a conflict or potentially an ally, depending on David's successful rolls.
Oh yeah,
And
I love Westwell. He's my boy.
yeah, so
Yeah,
it's fun. I just enjoy it. It's different
yeah,
It's different for me as a GM. That's for sure. It's much more laid back for me.
yeah.
I suggest the name of the session is Witch.
His witch, yeah. Which is which?
Witches
Yeah.
everywhere. Right. Oh my God. That was fun. That was fun. Now let me ask you this, guys, because this is something that I appreciate about the game, but but it is tough pacing wise. Are you guys okay with sitting for 20 minutes while we're split? Party split. Someone's going to have to sit and listen while other guys are working. I'm okay with it, but I think a lot of people would have a heck of a time sitting for 25 minutes while somebody else is playing, right?
With this group, I got no problem with it.
Yeah.
I think if this game, in my opinion, if this game is played correctly, you're all witnessing a story.
Yeah.
So you're there to experience the story, not just your part in it. So when David was doing his thing, that was so cool. Like I like seeing the witch mind fuck was like,
you are
totally into that. I was like,
you're a participant, but then you're also an audience.
Right.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
still being
And-
entertained.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I imagine, there may be some players that come at it and either, they give a little bit, but then if they only give a little bit, you take that and then you probably shift back, so it wouldn't be a 20-minute. But if you're, like David is, and you are really good at sort of, that back and forth, right?
Yeah.
You take what each other gives you, and so it's entertaining.
That's the problem, right?
But I had no problem. Like, I was just sitting there. I didn't know that it was 20 minutes. I was just sitting there enjoying what was unfolding. So for me, I really don't mind.
I don't either.
Yeah.
But it's
you
it is something that groups would have to get their head around. You do not have to be together, and you can bounce from. Now, granted, you could probably come up with a more effective transition. I could transition a little sooner back to David, but it also comes with, if you two are role-playing and you're in the middle of a conflict, it's difficult for me to just interrupt that and say, let's go to David. So you got to kind of let things play to a natural fade over.
Right.
I think for me, in my opinion, a big factor is that, in all honesty, I'm not, if I'm not in, it's not my time to interact, you know, the other guys or the other person is doing something, it's entertaining to me because, in all honesty, I'm not just watching or listening to that person walk down a hallway, or it's not something, they're not doing anything mundane.
Right.
They're
Right,
they're interacting with the world on
Yeah.
a higher
Right,
level,
yeah.
I guess, if that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
sure.
why
Totally get
that's
it.
why it's much more interesting to me.
That's
you know?
true.
Right.
We aren't moving 10 feet and checking doors. You're 100%
And-
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what those guys do
Effect.
at
Yes.
their time in the world could very well affect
Oh,
me.
exactly.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Exactly.
There's no
That's
doubt.
Very important to
There's
pay
no doubt.
attention.
Attention. That's why I was like,
Oh, there's-
enraptured by what was
yeah,
going on. When
there's-
he was like, "I'm going to take the bone," I'm like, "No," because I was like,
Multiple,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there's multiple reasons to do so.
That's
in my
right.
opinion.
"Right,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah,
Well,
yeah."
and this is part of the
Yeah.
goal too. If you want to play a warrior, and I say, "Where are you at? What are you doing?" and a guy who's an action guy says, "I'm in the woods with 2 soldiers hunting poachers," and because he's looking for action, and then I cut to Faustus who says, "Dude, I made a scholar. I'm not going to be on adventures fighting shit in the woods." We can have
Yeah.
that guy can have
Right.
the kind of character and the kind of conflicts
Right.
that, right? We don't all have to have a reason for like your war. Sam, you
Yeah,
had,
right.
you
I
had the
was gonna
war,
say,
and
I set
Saverick
him
played
up.
a role in the war, but didn't play it as a warrior.
Yeah.
He didn't have to, and that's
I know.
another
I
thing that
kept being
makes
like,
Dark
"Hey,
Age of Man.
You want to go in there and
Yeah.
bonk some people?" And he's like, "Mm-mm."
Yeah, right. You're
was
trying
like,
to
good.
entice him. Get
Right.
into the war. Get into the war. No,
Yeah.
but that's the thing when we say
yeah.
that you should be free to pursue your ends as the kind of person in
Yes.
the world you want to be. Like real life,
Right.
I choose not to join the military and jump out of airplanes and fight bad guys. I choose to live a simple little life here in small town America, so I don't endanger my
Yeah.
life like that. Well, right?
Right.
We all should have a character, and we kind of want to, but we're going to have to deal with conflict. Some life, some life threatening, some not.
Yeah,
And that's
I mean-
something else. Yeah.
And to be fair, I don't think it would be fair to sit there and just describe how Faustus is cleaning his quills, or or if he
Right.
was, at
But
least
it's a great way to
give you
set
guys
up a
some
scene.
insight. into
yeah. There
what
would be
he's
there would be a
thinking
purpose
about.
behind
Well,
that
yes,
description.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you kind of have to,
Yeah.
you kind of have to know how to,
Yes.
do it. I think in a sense.
Right.
But I could see you describing Faustus hunched over the desk, cleaning his quills after he's read the missive, and he's
Right.
contemplating, what did I get out of that? I mean, you could
Well, I'd be
describe.
sitting-
Then you cue
Right.
me. I'm looking.
Yeah.
Was there something? I'm thinking. What did I read?
Yeah.
What is in that missive? Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
how you describe your character and what he's doing while you ponder the thoughts of the world.
Right.
That becomes character. That becomes
Yeah.
important to me. And
Right.
that's part of why I'm listening to David describe in the tent the chessboard
Oh, yeah.
and the. I mean, it's like, dude, I can see it all as David's
Yeah, that
describing.
was so cool.
He's left
Yeah.
alone while everybody's out, and he's there alone in his tent, looking over all the things, the tools of his trade. And I was like, this is fucking epic.
And-
This is, yeah.
And I
Yeah.
do that because I have an idea of how you guys perceive,
Yep.
interact, react. You
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah. So it doesn't. It doesn't. I don't play this way in every game.
No,
I don't play
God,
this
no,
way
no.
with every group.
Yeah.
Yeah, not every
Right, no,
not every
right.
game needs this or wants
Right,
this.
yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So
Like D&D,
Yeah,
you would be
yeah.
wasting everybody's time if I spent a long time
yeah, you guys
describing
don't want
Fex digging into his.
to hear
So
all
I
that.
might say, hey,
Right,
I'm digging into my
well-
backpack. You see Fex digging into his
Yeah.
backpack as he,
Yeah.
But that's to describe my actions, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to spend a lot of time describing, right? But
Yeah.
I'm sure there are groups that
Yeah.
do. There are groups that linger on every moment, even in D&D, right? Which is cool. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, that was fun. I haven't had a chance to run my game in a long time, so that was fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah,
game.
that was
Dell and
very
I's
fun.
game.
I enjoyed it.
I feel so bad that Saverick died, and that's one of the cool things about this was like my character only just met him.
David's like, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I mean-
but Well,
I know Dale's
he-
good. Dale's
you
ready.
know,
He's-
yeah.
He's got something else in
But-
the works already.
Yeah.
listen,
but I like-
and Dale, he rolled a crit fail, so listen, it is what it is.
Like,
Listen, we
he
play to
Kudos to
find
Dale
out.
for sticking to it.
Yeah,
and
right.
going with it. You know, that's
We play to find
That's
out,
rough, man.
and Dell's character
Yeah.
dying said, "That son of a gun, I'm gonna kill it." And
Eric
unfortunately,
was a great character.
he
Oh,
was
yeah.
he was outmatched by the vampire.
Yeah, I mean,
which, you know,
makes sense.
I remember, and I
Right,
forget
it
if it
makes
was in
sense.
the game or one of the books, but The Witcher, they're one of the like vampire guys, like the real big ones. They're like, look, you know, because the Witchers are like, we don't take vampire contracts.
Right,
And at
right.
one point, the vampire's talking to him, and he's like, we can walk in the daylight. Yeah, that's just a myth. We can do all this
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, that's just a myth. It's like, we are so powerful.
Right.
It's absurd,
Right.
and that's why the Witchers are like, nope, I'm
Yeah.
not going to fight a vampire. They're way too hard.
Right,
Like,
right.
Yeah.
And this is probably the best.
Well, and
killer
I
in the
thought about
entire
introducing
world.
the vampire. I thought about I'm going to introduce the vampire
Yeah.
no matter what. But then I thought I'll stick to some idea of the lore here for this. But that's the other
Oh,
thing. It's
I love
our
vampire.
world. It's our
That was
vampire,
so
right?
scary.
There's no
Yeah.
rules that says the vampire only comes
Yeah.
out at night, and yeah,
Right.
it can
No.
be. It can be
makes
my
it
version.
no idea it was a vampire.
Which makes it
Like,
scarier.
Yeah, right.
Because
Oh,
we
yeah.
don't know. you
Yeah,
know?
and I didn't even have to define it as a
Right.
vampire, which I didn't. I never told you,
You didn't.
guys.
You defined it
was a
as a
vampire.
human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it
It
was
was a demon.
humanoid-esque.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was.
Yeah. I had no idea.
And
it
then
was
I
a
had
vampire.
Dell.
When I-
So,
when
so
I was-
then I tied your premonition to the vampire
Yep.
when I said to Dell, make a roll to see if you recognize this person from your past, tying this
Yeah.
maybe the remnants of this vampire to the Slavic fortune you had seen, the foretelling you had seen. But you
Right.
failed, so I
Yeah.
could drop it. It's like, okay, he doesn't have to know this thing at all, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But had you
afraid
made it, I might have said, "Oh, you recognize this is in Jorgsen. He was the 7-foot Slavic
Right.
barbarian that you knew back in the day, and how did he get here as a fucking beast?" Right? But in a way, it was better you failed because that probably would have
Yeah,
been too
'cause-
much.
What'd you say, Dale?
I think if I had a thought, because I didn't know how decayed or how decrepit this thing was, if I was going to kick through it, I could just see my
Legs go through.
my
it.
legs going through it, and then he would just grab my neck. And
Yeah, you're riding it around. You're kind of wrapped around its waist with your legs
just-
stuck in.
Oh God!
he
Well, it was
just
so
definitely
so. It was so funny to me because it just goes to show how different GMs will do different things. So
Yeah.
that end scene when it finally got sucked to me. After Jason said, it decapitated your head, I would have had him pull your body down into hell.
Oh,
right,
dude.
right, yeah.
But
Yeah, I
but
always
the
expect
fact
my
that
head
he
or something
tossed
to
you
roll down
away
the drop.
almost like garbage. I was like, oh, that's even better because it's so
He just-
much more visceral.
Just threw your body,
Yeah.
kept your head fell.
Yeah,
You just threw
threw
the
it
body
away,
away.
yeah.
Right, right.
It's like nothing.
I was
This
like,
is nothing.
oh, yeah. But it's so funny to see the difference in style because I was like,
And here's the
that's so
thing.
brutal.
Here's the thing. You would have earned a repute for defeating this creature, but because nobody witnessed it,
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
No, and
Right.
frankly, like I wouldn't want to earn a repute for that anyway because to me that's not.
no,
I
and you
failed
could have
because
said I don't
Saverick
want it.
didn't survive.
But, right,
Yeah.
and then of course I didn't award
Yeah.
any repute because you guys didn't actually deal with the
Yeah.
Faustus is the only one actually
Mm-hmm.
that would be capable of dealing with the major or minor dilemma in this particular session because he was tied to Weswell.
Sure.
You guys could
Well,
not have actually
yeah.
earned a repute for major or minor dilemma here unless somehow you had
No.
put yourself around Weswell's troubles. Right? So
Right.
David didn't
Well, and
he didn't even
so-
get to Weswell before we had a
Yeah.
whole session. So
Wow.
Yeah.
right? So
The way I look
yeah.
at it is like the next session. So the reason in my head, the reason I took Saverick's head was, well, for two reasons. One, I was like, maybe I'll
cool.
like bring him back. But the second thing was perhaps I have to now return it to his people and say, like,
Well, I'm
this
going to be
guy
honest
was
with
a
you.
great
I'm
warrior,
supposed
he
to be.
died,
I-
but-
you return it to your own people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna
It's
be,
like,
well,
Well, so
on the hand.
that's what I was
Right,
thinking
right,
too,
right.
and so I was thinking actually now maybe do I return
Yeah.
to the Dane and say, hey, look, I got your
I
sword,
got the Dane Slayer,
and
right?
I
Right.
killed the Dane Slayer.
You know what's funny about
That-
that is the minute
yeah.
you said you were tied his head onto your belt, I literally,
like
I'm supposed to be naive, but I immediately
Yeah.
said, if he waltzes into Dredgetown with a hero's head tied to her waist, she is in deep shit because he's a celebrity.
I thought the same thing too.
You know, he's a celebrity. It was like, what
Right.
the?
That's
Holy
logical.
Yeah,
It's just
well, and
logical.
Yeah.
You know?
so what
She
was
comes
so
sauntering
interesting
into
about that was that-
Dredgewater with Savrin's
Well-
head tied to her waist.
No, I can't, and I couldn't because that's why I was thinking I need to get him. I need to see if I can resurrect him or whatever because I can't just bring him back. But my whole
She
thing
wouldn't
was
know
I
that
could
he's
care
a
less
hero.
about
She wouldn't really
Dredgetown.
know he's a
No.
hero, right?
Well, no, I think she would because she'd been
True.
closely.
All those peasants that have
following
been
him.
hunting to get an autograph would have torn her to bits. How dare you bring back the head of Savrik, you?
Oh
You
no,
witch.
yeah. So at this point, like because he died, I was thinking, oh, I was attached to him. But now I'm like, oh shit, I got the sword
Yep.
and the head of the Daneslayer.
Yeah.
That's a big old advantage to my own people. So I might have to
Yeah,
get
that's
that
awesome.
guy now.
The Dane army shows back up on the borders with his head on a spike. You know,
Oh,
But
man.
can you imagine if I go back to the remnant of Lodvir's army and I'm like, who's in
Look.
charge now?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and they'll be like,
Who's in
"Oh,
charge now?
Yeah, the witch.
Who's the
killed
queen
Daneslayer
now?
as the magic.
Witch queen.
Who's the
What are
witch
they gonna
queen
do?
now? That's funny.
What are they gonna do?
Oh,
Throw
my God.
I'll throw the head at them and make it talk at them or something.
Who's
Right,
running the
right,
next
right.
session? David, you running the next one? Who's running the next session?
Oh, you're. You're.
I can run the
yeah,
next
sure,
one. It doesn't
session
matter.
7.
After that,
You want me to?
mean,
Well, I
there
guess I
is-
should
listen.
because there is Wesweld's issue with the
There
emissary.
is.
Right?
But there's a natural person to run the next session.
Oh,
based
you mean the
on
one with the
events of
dead,
this
the
session.
dead character? Sure, that makes
Oh.
The
sense.
one who doesn't have a character currently.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just saying. Just saying.
That's
But yeah.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
I would have
Would've
scrambled
never been
over.
a
I would have
character.
grabbed his head, scrambled over on my hands and knees, stuck it onto his torso, and then started an incantation to bring him back from the dead.
he said 15 or better.
Yeah,
price
exactly.
of that.
So I would have
Well,
said, "Holy cow, roll!" And then when you
No,
rolled a failure, I
I-
would have said his eyes flutter open, he spits a little bit, and then his head rolls away from the torso as he dies a second time.
Right. Oh,
You've
God.
killed him twice. You brought
That
him
would've
back
been
just
rough.
long enough that he realizes he's dead. Oh my
I
god!
thought my head was going to roll down that crack. You know what I mean? As the vampire was going down,
Well,
but it was
that's what
cool
I
because
thought
I was
too,
going like
yeah.
this. I knew you was going to pick up the head and walk away with it. I was like, "Yep, there you go."
well, yeah.
I just remember-
know. If-
I just remember watching God of War, and I was like, he's got that stupid head on his belt that keeps talking to him and annoys him all the time.
God of War.
And I'm like, that would be so
The
fun.
video-
Yeah, and
you
God
said
of War.
watching it. Is it a movie?
Well, no, but I mean, almost.
game.
It's-
You mean the
it's-
game,
right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
the game. Yeah,
Because I
the
didn't. I was thinking,
PlayStation
wow, there's a war. There's a
whatever.
movie, God of War. Yeah, I've played the game. I don't recall that. I
Well,
remember that.
there is a. Oh no, is the movie Lord of War? I don't. What's the one where it's Nicolas Cage and he plays an arms dealer?
I think
Oh,
that's
yeah, Lord of War.
Lord of War. Yeah, that was good. But he doesn't carry a head around with
No,
him.
I was gonna say,
No,
wow,
yeah, and-
dude, you're. I don't know if I've seen that one.
If you haven't played
I was
God of
thinking
War though,
Fallout.
you should. It's amazing.
no, it
it's
is
like
amazing,
it's a
yeah.
freaking movie. It's
Yeah.
so good. And I also have you guys seen or played what is it? Sensua Hellblade, I think.
Yes, yeah, that's
Sent to a
that's
sacrifice.
creepy as shit. I'll be honest. I
Really?
fought the
That's,
urge
I
to
was
play
getting
it.
that vibe.
I fought the urge because my brother's schizophrenic. So when they first
Yeah.
said you
Ooh.
play a schizophrenic woman from
Oh,
Scandinavia, so
okay.
you're playing a female warrior who is
Yeah.
mentally ill, and it's amazing.
I know
the
what you're talking
the
about.
game is amazing, but
sound design is unbelievable.
I had
They-
some
they
serious
do the
trepidation
voices
because
cool.
my brother's
Yeah.
schizophrenic, so I was like, I don't know if I want to go here.
Yeah.
And but it is an amazing game.
Yeah.
The way she, her mind whispers
Oh.
to her, and the sound.
wow.
If you play
Oh,
with headphones,
it's-
it's amazing
yeah.
with headphones. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Very
it tells you to play with headphones. But I never beat it because it was really hard. I couldn't
Oh,
figure out
dude,
one of the
it's so
puzzles.
hard.
but-
Yeah, I never beat it. Shit.
yeah.
Oh,
When I
but,
say I've played
I
a
guess-
game, I mean literally I played it. I probably never beat
Yeah.
it.
It's so good though. It's so freaking
Yeah.
scary. But so like I was getting those vibes
Yeah.
when you were talking about the vampire fight and the witch too in her head. But I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, because there's scenes where it's like she's in that game, she like processing the trauma that sort of caused some of this. And like, there's a scene where she's like, I think her father like locked her in the basement or something for a long period of time because she was nuts and he didn't want anybody to know, and so she was like justified. But it's crazy, right? Because it's like there's times where in her head, like you're hearing him yelling at her, and then like she's talking to the voice of her dead lover who was like a Pict.
Well, you see images, you see hallucinations.
Like, oh my god!
Yeah, it's a trip. It is a great game. Yeah. But yeah, no doubt, it's a hard game. Yeah, there's no doubt it's hard. Yeah.
Oh,
and there's a second one coming out soon.
Yeah, they're coming out with the second one. So it's like that and the original Max Payne were like two of the most immersive games I've ever played. Like unbelievable. It was like,
are they remaking Max Payne?
Yes.
Wow. Wow.
And I say that because there's talk, and I think they worked on it, but
who knows? Okay, because they definitely should remake Max Payne. It was good, man. Yeah,
that was so good.
Now we're in video game talk. What the hell? It's awesome.
Well, but it ties in because what you were saying before about do you mind sitting there for 20 minutes or whatever, and I'm like, well, the way I see it is like, if you're watching a movie or you're playing a game and there's, the cutscene or whatever, if it's really immersive and even if it is like, a dude sitting at his desk scrawling notes, but you have the music and you have the camera movement and you realize that they're showing you this because it's letting you into the headspace of the character as it relates to the plot that's unfolding. Right. And so, to me, if it's done well, then you're sitting there like
you're engaged. I mean, I'm as engaged as what's happening to you guys when I'm a player. As what I'm engaged.
Exactly.
In. Yeah.
And like David said, it has stakes because it's the same world at largely the same time. So it in one way or another, it's going to affect your character. So you're like, whoa.
Well, especially if I roll a world-changing event, no matter no matter where we're at. If I roll 3 or an 18 or 17 or even 4, or 4
or whatever.
Yeah, it will affect the whole session. It'll affect the whole world, right?
Yeah.
That's why Ivan said he rolled an 18 in their final. So before their fourth session, at the very end of their third session, he rolled an 18. And he had told me, hey, by the way, just so you know, I rolled an 18 at the end of that session, but I'm not going to tell you what it was. And I went, oh, shit, that's a world changer. And so he opened, that's one of the reasons they decided to play session 4, because he had rolled an 18 in that session. So I was like, oh my God, that's epic. That's a world changing event, right? Generally. Or it could potentially be a party kill or a planet killer or whatever, right? So they are epic moments generally, right? At least you want them to be epic moments because they're so rare.
Oh, yeah.
But today I rolled a 4, so there you go.
Ragnarok happens.
The vampire. And the vampire was a world changer. Savrik is dead. You were almost killed. So the vampire isn't just a creature like D&D where you're facing the vampire. It's well, I shouldn't say that. A vampire in D&D will kill your ass too. That's a world changer for these characters. Right?
Yeah.
So who am I? The reality is it's a world changer in D&D too.
Yeah.
I fought Strahd von Zarovich, and he was not that bad. I'm just telling you. He was scary, but, when you're at high level in 5e, there's not a whole lot
No, you're a badass.
Take you down.
Yeah, you become a badass,
Yeah, but, and we rolled really well, so that helped. But it was... oh my God. But seriously, like in this game, that was terrifying when you're like, this guy fails, and I take 2 wounds because he picks me up and throws me. And I was like, get 2 wounds?
And had you not...
I'm only 3 away from death.
And had you not cursed him and said and given and told him to draw the blade, I wouldn't have turned that failed roll on you, right? But when he heard you say the blade, draw the blade, the vampire had already said, "Where is my blade?" So it's like, "How dare you, bitch!" Talk about the blade, and then so smack, get away from here.
Was he talking about the blade that was in the stone?
Yes.
He wasn't talking, because I meant, of course, the
he was
sword,
talking. He was talking about the blade that was laying on the altar, right? right?
Yeah. That's what I thought. Okay.
And somebody took his blade,
yeah.
right? And again, I don't give a shit what the lore is. I don't have to come up with why he cares about the blade. I don't have to.
No.
I don't even have to have a reason. The thing shows up. I rolled it on the chart, but I
Yeah.
I wanted to then say, well, how am I going to introduce this? So let's make a luck check. Is it dark? No, not yet. But gentlemen, it's getting dark. And then that gives me a timetable, and then it's like, okay.
I know.
He says, we hike 20 minutes off into the woods and find a place over the hill. And I said, yeah. And about 20 minutes later, you hear the scream, which is the introduction of the vampire.
Yeah.
Where better to introduce him than Dell leaving? Again, as Dell does something, it's the butterfly effect. As Dell does something, it affects the world. So Dell takes the blade, therefore I'm going to tie the vampire to the blade. It's the butterfly effect. It's actually very simple in that sense. Butterfly effect. Yeah.
Oh, easy. It was really funny. So my son lately has gotten really into role playing, and he's actually been running some stuff, which was fun. But I was running a session for him, and he was going out into the woods, and he said, "I'm gonna go to sleep," and I was like, I had to be very careful about how I reacted there. I was like, okay, but are you sure you want to do that? Because like you're alone. And he's like, yep. And so he was pursuing these guys, and I had him roll to see if he would wake up in time to spot. He didn't, and so he got captured and brought in, to where the enemy. And I'm like, he's like, oh my god. And I was like, yeah, you said you went to sleep in the woods. Well, if you pull the blade out of the mysterious altar thing, just because.
Yeah.
A vampire shows up. Like as soon as he did that, I was like, "No!" It's like we're taking witches' necklaces.
I can see it. I just grab it up.
Yeah, it's a ripple. Oh. And that's the funny thing, right? If you were watching this in a TV show,
you'd be like,
you would watch the character take the blade, like, oh, that's good, and they walk away, and then they would cut to this creature as darkness falls, show up at the altar, looking for its blade, and then everybody watching goes, "Oh fuck." Because they all know this creature is going to pursue. Right? They would all know this creature is going to pursue. And I could have. Now, I normally don't describe what you can't possibly see. But as a GM, I could have described this creature shows up at the altar. Of course, to me, that's going to take you out of your immersion because it would be it's what we call what's the term? There's a term you can't know what you can't know. So I don't like that. I mean, even like Mass Effect games, I hate when Mass Effect cuts away to tell me part of the story that I'm not in. So have you ever played the Mass Effect games? The BioWare games love to cut away and show you some shit that your character would not be aware of. And
I get it.
But they do it because it's a movie. It's like a movie.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't mind that. I actually do tend to do that a little bit as a GM, but the way I try to do it as almost a instead of like a description or a narration to help you guys understand the context, right? Yeah. But I do like to do that, and so I don't mind if that happens.
Sure.
Because what's interesting to me is I can very easily go between my own immersion as a character and the collective immersion, which is sort of what you were speaking. So like when David's speaking, I'm immersed in what he's doing.
It certainly is a little more mysterious and terrifying when I just described the scream from when it came. Right, it's a little more. It's a little more intense, but it's and then you don't see it until you see it, right? But and you could do that. You could have the cut scene where you tell the creature showing up looking for its blade, and then everybody at the table goes, "Uh-oh." What, Saverick, did you pick up that damn blade?
When this thing literally picked me up and threw me, so the scream wasn't the scariest part. Like when it literally just chucked me like it was nothing, I was like, oh no, this thing is scary. And then Dell's like, yeah, I'm just going to use this tiny little dagger on this thing. I'm just stick him. And I was like,
but that's his Bone Hill dagger.
He's like, I have a bone dagger too. I could have done that.
I know, but see, why I do that and why I think it's important that we pay genuinely. And I know you know this.
From character.
No, I know,
To point out when we sit there and I'm talking, and I didn't say normally I would put that sword in the ground.
Right.
Like I said.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But I would have did that normally, but I said I was engaged with talking with you.
Yeah.
So I knew in my character, I kind of wasn't doing normal protocol.
Yeah.
And I was kind of worried about somebody coming up on this, but I had it in the thing.
Yeah.
Right.
But I
right.
knew I had daggers, like I said. I
Well,
just kind of tucked it in. I
yeah.
was a cool blade. I can put a handle on
Yeah,
it.
I
Took
have
it in there, and I'm
in-
talking
Yeah,
to
it's
you.
readily
When
available.
this thing,
Yeah,
when this thing shows up.
yeah,
But see, I
exactly.
was engaged in interrogation, and
Yes.
when it showed up,
Yep.
Yeah.
I had to. What would I do? Just like
Yeah. Yeah.
turn
it
it,
makes
slide on the
complete
ground and say,
sense.
"Get down," because I had to get her down,
Hmm.
and that's what I mean. So
Yeah, and the
I
only
wanna
thing in your
visually-
hand was the blade. Right. Yeah, it makes total
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. I mean, I could just grab it
Yeah.
out real quick and
Yeah.
say, "I'm just lunging up," because I'm
Yeah,
frozen. This thing's coming right over and
Yeah.
standing there.
That's right.
It's going to take
Right.
all again. Or how?
Well, and
I'm just saying I play
I
that
don't-
way.
Yeah.
I don't know if how Savrik feels about that blade particularly, because to him it could just be a cool sword with runes on it.
Right.
Where to my character it's an incredibly
Yeah.
valuable thing because it's got this whole whatever. So to me, playing in character, and that's why I think it was great that you did it the way you did it.
Yeah.
Was because to me I was like, no, you have to use this blade. Like this
Yeah.
is it's all about you embracing the bear warrior, right? And like
Yeah.
and you were like, I gotta kill this thing because it just showed up and it's dangerous, right?
Right.
Like that makes sense.
Sure, right.
And so it was that cool, and it kind of, I think the way I conceptualized it was it tied sort of into that like minuscule little conflict between my gods and the Christian, right? Like
Yeah.
we had
Sure.
said like, oh yeah, Jesus
Yeah,
is
that
in
was good,
Valhalla
too.
and
Yeah,
that
that was
was
awesome.
taking over your gods,
Yeah.
and I wanted to be like,
That was awesome.
at first I was like, oh God, how am I going to respond to that? But then I was like, no, she's going to be patient because she'll be like, oh, you silly fool. Like I get, you think your nailed God is hot shit, but you'll find out that Odin is the best.
As she spits blood in your face and tells you
Yeah,
that she's
well-
seen you die 3 times in visions.
And the other thing I was thinking at the very end, I was like, should I take the sword and place it in his hand after the battle was done so that he could go to Valhalla? And I was like, no, he's not going to go to Valhalla because even though he carries a Viking blade and he fought, sort of to defend a Norse woman, he's a Christian. So either he's going to his Christian place or he's
hell,
not going to
or
Valhalla.
hell. Right, he's going.
So I'm like, this blade must be meant for me.
Yeah, that was brutal, and I like letting him die without much contemplation of the. It's more surreal to allow him to die without comment, right?
It's visceral.
It was
visceral.
natural to me because I had in
Yeah.
my mind, like I said, I jumped up to spring up when he started to howl to stab him with something I could easily access.
Yes.
And then when he grabbed my arm and wrenched me up and spun me around,
yeah.
and I'm off the ground.
Yeah.
What do? I take my offhand, which I was adding a negative
Yeah.
for the offhand, just to say, he said, "Give me the blade." I'm thinking,
Yeah.
that. He
Right.
said, "This you can have it
Yeah.
in his side."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm really not able to grab that sword yet.
Right.
That's
Oh,
when
yeah,
it
no.
flung me across the thing. So to
Right.
me, I was like, in trying to grab it with my freaking
Sure.
arm dislocated,
Oh yeah.
with my offhand. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's when he started screaming and bust my eardrums.
And
I was
that's-
like,
Yeah.
this is a rough situation.
And I'll be honest, in our game design, in all of our playtesting and game design, the turning point for Dark Age of Man was when I think I woke up one morning and wrote Dell and said, dude, wounds, fuck hit points. Wounds. Because this is a narrative game, it's got to be wounds. And it was, for us, for me, it was watershed, because I was like, it's just, you can't have it just be math and then be a narrative game. It just... And I don't know why, but it was the big turning point for how this is going to be a narrative combat game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, the one die system. is
Oh,
done
yeah.
with one
Yeah.
die
Yeah.
for narrative effect.
Yeah.
But whenever you see, that was bugging me the whole time because we were using points just like we did with the
Correct.
creatures.
The creatures, right?
Okay, and then you add the body. That was bugging me. I wasn't speaking it to you, so it was weird. I was coming.
Yeah, we were both on the same page, but we weren't talking about it. And then we were both like, something ain't right about hit points for our characters, but we never really talked about it until
you
right.
sent me you sent me a text saying, "I wish we hadn't already. It's kind of too late now, but we should have did that." And I said, "No, let's do it."
Right,
Because
that's right. I
that's been
remember.
bugging
Right.
the hell out of me.
And
was
why
like,
we have health points for creatures is that's the GM's thing. And it allows for these combats with 4 or 5 characters fighting a creature, and I don't have to narrate a wound in a particular way for them. And a
Right,
creature
right.
can have, like a dragon can have 15 hit points, or it can have, or
Yeah.
you can have a bandit with 4.
Yeah.
So wounds for creatures would have made all combat anticlimactic. But
Yeah.
but for characters, it makes it completely narrative, and also you're very vulnerable. So the dying cue to Dell is you're dying. You're not. That means you will die, but one more and you're done. So he could have limped off
Yeah.
into the woods. He could have narrated some life saving, right? But of course, Savrik wouldn't do that. Savrik's going to fight the creature. So, but some
Yeah.
characters would have crawled away into the woods and hid from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And prayed to God. It's not
Oh,
even God.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a different kind
Oh.
of character would have
But-
crawled
but-
away, right? Like
can
I
get
did.
that
Matter of fact, in our
mindset
Viking
by
game,
Gordon.
Dell, that Viking game you ran for Jory and I, my character uh, pretended to die in the street. Remember, laid in the mud and buried himself in mud and
Oh,
pretended
yeah.
to die.
While they were going stabbing people.
Right, and so my character literally, my Viking, of course, a coward, buried himself in the mud and hid. So had any other of the Vikings seen it, of course, I would have been, I would have been toast. So my character's
Odin
basically a
saw.
coward. He's basically a coward, right? My character in that Viking game, he was a coward, right?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
the worst thing you can be
Yeah.
in a Viking game.
Yeah, yeah.
That literally is the worst
Yeah.
thing you can be if
Yeah.
you're a soldier.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that was a great game. That was, I
couldn't
think
have
that was
done
our
it.
play
Yeah.
test where Dell said, "Let's try it from Vikings perspective."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Okay, that'll work."
Yeah.
I think it was Jorian and myself, and
Maybe
Oh,
somebody
man.
I thought there was somebody else.
I loved. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Like I think probably my favorite session was the Viking game I ran for
Yeah.
Dell and Jory, because just like, and it was that pivot point where I was like, I kind of threw it out there like, oh, you're an old Viking, right? So you haven't died and you've been in a lot of
Exactly.
battles, and so people were talking, oh,
Yeah.
you're cursed, you can't go to. And he took that, and it became the central
the
focus of everything
motivating.
his
It
character
became his
did.
motivation.
And it
Yeah.
and I was like, and it was so crazy because it just like I just kind of put it out there.
Yeah, didn't know,
you know,
man.
because I was thinking like that would be authentic for a bunch of Vikings to have this old war. And then I remembered this scene in the show Vikings where this old guy is like wanting to go with Ragnar when he goes to England. He's like, "Let me go with you,"
Yeah,
and
you're an
Ragnar's
old
like,
man.
"Oh no, man, you're kind of old."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, but like I gotta go, man. I haven't died in any battles.
Yeah,
I don't.
can't.
I'm a
I
warrior.
Can't die,
like
old man.
I can't die here on a farm as an old man." And then Ragnar was like, "Okay, yeah,
There's some truth in that, man. As I age, I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, I don't want to die an old man, but I also don't want to die. So what am I going to do? What are you going to do? Because none of us want to die, but fuck, I don't want to just die an old man, you know?
What'd you
One of
say,
the
Dale?
most memorable, tense Viking scenes was when Todd and David and myself and Jason was running this. It was an early game of this.
Oh, yeah.
And you remember when we was in that thing, we were trying to parlay with the Vikings.
Yeah.
And I had my own agenda because I was trying to get them to go wipe out that other town so I could take it over, saying like, we will provide for you and just, this and that. And you were the military guy. And then
Yeah.
Todd, he was keeping quiet, but he was the priest.
Yeah.
And he'd come into town and they had crucified all these people,
Yeah,
our
the
own
Christian
people.
had to walk into
Like in a line.
seeing how they hung all
And
the
he-
priests. Right.
And
Oh,
I was saying this, that I felt so close to brokering a deal. And you found a traitor, David. And you
Well, the
grabbed
Baron, I think
traitor.
the guy who gave up his, the coward gave up
Yeah.
his palisade to the Vikings, right?
Man,
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was the one where
Well,
David basically convinced him to either kill himself or kill the Viking leader at
that's
the
what I
end.
mean.
Yeah.
It hit the fan because you whispered that if he
Yeah.
was going to absolve himself or get back anything,
Right.
you slipped him with daggers
Yeah,
and
yeah.
kill him now. And then Todd, right before that, was like, if you only way we'll agree to that is if you all become Christian.
Become Christian.
I'm like, I just deflated because I was so close. And I didn't tell the guys what I had up my sleeve.
Right.
You know what I mean? That was that.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
it just went.
damn Christians,
it
they
went-
ruin everything."
It hit the fan at that moment.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really interesting
And
section.
that was an early play test
Oh, yeah.
too. That was an early.
That
play
was
test.
really early.
Matter of
yeah.
fact, we didn't have a wound system then. I think we still had our hit points, our
Yeah, I think
whatever
so.
health.
Yeah.
We had
Yeah, it
health.
didn't come on until later on.
We had health. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fun. Some of the playtest games were amazing. The one Kevin ran for us And at the
Took your
end,
finger.
when my punishment was they cut my fucking finger off, my bow finger.
I know
It was great.
Jorian.
And Jorian sold me
Wow.
out. The little bastard sold me out. Yeah, that was fun.
I knew what he
no.
was going to do right before he said he'd take his freaking archer.
That
finger.
I mean, Kevin ran a great test game for that. That was fantastic. Yeah, Brian ran a great game. So, anyway, guys,
Oh, man.
let's wrap it up. It's
Yeah.
been 3 hours and 30 minutes here. So I
Oh, boy.
appreciate it. Thank you,
Yeah.
gentlemen. Wonderful as usual. And either I can run the
Thanks,
next
Joe.
one, and we can continue here, or we can just fast forward time past his dilemma to whoever wants to run the next one. I don't care. It's entirely up to you guys.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
okay with y'all doing it. What I was trying to do, and I'll be getting with Jason about the rule set of the Space Age of Man, but
Yeah.
we need to test that.
Yeah, a little play test of
And-
science fiction. I like it.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
Empyrean.
He's got some
Enoch.
crazy ass name. Space Age of Man ain't good for him anymore. He's trying to
Space Age
get.
of Man,
Listen, it's
needs
getting
the
more
same.
pretentious every day. What the hell is it now,
Okay.
Dale? It's Imperium.
No,
It's even more pretentious. Holy shit!
If you
What's wrong
can't-
with
if you
Space
can't-
Age of
If
Man?
you can't spell it, I don't want to hear it.
Oh, dude, we're in deep shit then because I can't spell.
Yeah, it means
Nice.
Space Age of Man. They'll both be on there.
Right.
Yeah, we'll have a subtitle.
All right.
But anyway,
It'll have its
Yeah.
main title and then the subtitle, Space Age of Man, and
Space Age of Man.
title. So,
and
so
really,
Awesome.
like small print. Yeah.
thank you, my friends. That was fun.
All right.
I appreciate you.
Thank
Okay.
you guys.
All right, guys.
Take
care.
Thank you.